Take a moment to recognize all active military and veterans. We ask that all of our race fans who are currently serving in the military or those who have served on behalf of this great country and their families to please rise. On behalf of all of us, we thank you and are honored for your service. Let's give these brave men and women a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Luke Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Dean of Students and Campus Pastor at Grand Canyon University, Chaplain Tim Griffin, offers our invocation.
Would you join me in prayer, please? Our God and Heavenly Father, we pause first of all to acknowledge your presence and to thank you for your grace and peace in our lives. God, at the same time, we want to thank you for our veterans. Thank you for their service, their support of our country, and those that have stood in the way of harm to defend our freedoms. Bless them today, we pray, as we honor them. Lord, now we pray for our drivers and crews. Keep them safe in today's competition, we pray, for we ask it in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome U.S. Navy retired Petty Officer First Class Stephen Powell.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watch, who were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, and o'er the land and of the free, and the home of the brave.
Forever indebted to our troops. After today, 4 move on while 4 others put their championship dreams up on a shelf. It's Elimination Sunday. When we come back, they fire the engines.
beautiful day, the sun beat down, I had the radio on, I was driving, trees flew by, me and Del were singing, little runaway, I was flying, yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, working on a mystery, going wherever it leads, running down a dream. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, running down a dream. Oh, yeah, running down a dream.
It's NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing on NBC, telecast presented by USAA. Decision day in the desert. Will any of the former champions make the cut, or is it time for the next generation? For some last-minute stories, let's get into these pit stalls, beginning with Parker Kligerman.
Krista, Chase Elliott comes in this race 17 points below the cut line, and their situation is a result of a season-long grind from slow cars at the start, slow results, but with a win at Watkins Glen, a win at Dover, and a win at Kansas. Their fourth win might be their ticket to fighting for a championship, Kelly.
21 top 10 finishes this season have gotten Kurt Busch to this point, but this 41 team knows they've got to be even better than that today if they're going to race for the championship next week in Miami. Crew Chief Billy Scott told me they plan to take stages 1 and 2 as business as usual, but then depending on how those points fall, they could make a big strategy call in that final stage, Dave.
Clint Boyer's feedback from yesterday, best feel he's ever had in a race car here at this track. And that'll work well for him. He's never won here in the desert, and he has to do that today to make it through the championship 4 in Miami. Marty.
Dave, the man giving last-second advice to Eric Almirola, Tony Stewart, and his advice was, enjoy the moment. Eric told me, listen, I've never had a chance to race my way into the championship 4. Today, I have that chance. Yes, we must win, but I'm going to enjoy this day, relax, and have fun with it inside the race car. Only one chance to put yourself in the championship 4. It starts right now at Phoenix.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, star of CW's Riverdale, Skeet Ulrich.
Drivers, start your engines!
Fire up. Fire and hope.
It's a pressure cooker in the desert, the kind of situation that athletes live for. Backs against the wall is a moment waiting. Rick, Steve, Jeff, and Dale Jr. take over next.
I didn't come this far to only come this far. I hear some people saying things like, when I make it, when I get to the top. I'll keep working hard until I get to the top, until I reach my goal.
Tonight he earns his first Cup title.
Yes! Yes! I don't even know what to say. You are the champion, baby. Woo!
Let me tell you something. There's no end. Winners never stop. It's the journey. I didn't come this far to only come this far. When I get this goal, I'll seek more. I'm proud of my achievements, but that doesn't mean I'll settle for them.
Hell yeah, baby! One more round to go! Yes! We did it!
Proud, but never satisfied. Proud, but forever hungry. Proud, but pushing. Pushing for more. Pushing for great. It's the journey. It's the challenge. I didn't come this far to only come this far.
And the journey will end today for 4 drivers that are part of the round of 8. Joey Logano with his win, he knows he's on to the championship 4. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Kevin Harvick all above the cutoff line. The top 4 in points advance to the championship 4. Those 4 right now are below that line. And Kevin Harvick won the race last week in Texas, but an illegal spoiler eliminated that guaranteed spot he had in the championship 4. So today, he is going to have to fight if he wants to be a part of the title round. Let's bring in our drivers, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Burton. The one thing that Kevin Harvick has going for him, he is easily the favorite here in Phoenix.
Yeah, Rick, he has the fastest car here this weekend, but more importantly, Kevin Harvick's built for this stuff. He loves the pressure. He loves it when his back's against this wall. This guy came here the year he won the championship in a must-win situation. What did he do? He won the race, gave him a chance to go to Miami, and then he executed there. He loves this moment, and he will take advantage of it, I believe.
He's been the fastest car all weekend. So what opportunities does that give to the rest of the field to beat him? Well, let's take a look at this racetrack. We've talked about it all weekend. They took the start-finish line and put it over here in the dog leg. The restart zone, way back here. All right, so the rest of the field, that's where they're going to be restarting. That's going to create some really crazy things through this dog leg. As soon as they go past the start-finish line, watch these guys fan out.
They're going to go everywhere, Junior. They're 3 wide. Heck, they're 4 wide. They're trying to find a place to go, and watch where they end up. It's not just on the straight, it's also in the corner.
Yeah, they're going to have to get aggressive, and especially on those final restarts, can they drop their morals and forget about, what's going on and take advantage of Kevin Harvick? I think that's the only way they can beat him on the racetrack.
So, Rick, not only do you have great drivers on the racetrack, you have a racetrack that's created an unbelievable challenge for them when this restarts. We get to watch. It's going to be fun.
Well, let's bring in crew chief Steve Letarte. And Steve, the other variable that Kevin Harvick has to deal with is Rodney Childers was suspended. So he will not be in the last 2 races. He has Tony Gibson on the pit box for him.
Well, I don't think any team wants to go to the bench in the playoffs, but if you're going to, you want experience, and that's what they get with Tony Gibson. With over 400 races atop the pit box, 6 wins as a crew chief, his first ever win came here at Phoenix. He knows how to get it done, so I don't think that'll be a disadvantage at all. But look, there are also other cars in the playoff field that we have to discuss, and it starts with Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. They have the biggest leads at 28 and 25 points, and that's because of a great regular season. They dominated the regular season, gave themselves the chance to come here and just protect. They don't have to be great. They just have to be good. Race with mittens. Don't do anything silly. But right below the cut line, Kevin Harvick's teammate Kurt Busch, 3 points below. A points battle between teammates could be epic, but he has his work cut out for him. We've heard all weekend how good the 4 is. But the guy I have my eye on, Chase Elliott. He may be 17 points below Rick, but this guy has won. 3rd season in the Cup level. He's won a couple times this year. And more importantly, his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, he has won at Phoenix 3 times as a career. Mark Martin, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, he knows how to win here in the desert. Could he lead Chase Elliott to the biggest win of Chase's career?
And again, on the bottom of your screen, you're seeing the USAA starting grid rolling across there. All right, Steve, let's continue on with the race breakdown for this one. It's relatively a short race.
Oh, it's a sprint. It's only 312 miles, 312 laps. First, second stage, both 75 laps. That final stage, 162 laps. We're going to talk a lot about pit road. It's brand new. It was reconfigured, 45 miles per hour. Pit window, a little over 80 laps.
Well, interesting. Junior, throughout the morals will be tested. You had mentioned guys racing with mittens on. It's going to be interesting because there will there are going to be different strategies that will play out throughout this race and different agendas that these teams are on.
I think that's going to be the key, is you have to understand where you sit, because this is just where we start. This is a snapshot, but as soon as we get underway, it'll move around. Understand who you're racing for that seat at the table.
Let's go down to Parker.
And Steve, I love what you had to say about Kyle Busch in terms of racing with mittens. You know, if you think a couple weeks back at Martinsville, he was running the top 10, he got bumped, moved out of the way, and he slotted in right behind that car. That is the kind of racing he needs to do today, not to get caught up in the moment. Don't try too hard. Play defense, Kelly.
Well, the 25 points that the 78 team has means they need no mistakes today, but that's easier said than done. Their postseason has been riddled with penalties and on-track mishaps. They're looking for good execution today, Dave.
What did Joey Logano's crew chief tell me the goal was for today? Don't take anybody else off, Marty.
For Tony Gibson, Wednesday morning, he showed up at Stewart-Haas Racing thinking that afternoon he was going on a hunting trip. In fact, his entire truck was packed and ready to go, only to find out a couple of hours later he had to show up at Phoenix and crew chief Kevin Harvick for the final 2 weeks of the season, as he told me, quote, "Just don't screw it up. That's my only job the next 2 weeks."
Let's listen into the radio, the 4 team.
Thanks for letting me be a part of this deal. Got everything else accomplished this weekend. We got one more goal to let's win this race, so let's get her done. Man, appreciate the help.
Just how dominant will Kevin Harvick be? We're about to find out. Kevin Harvick on the inside, Chase Elliott on the outside, making up row one as they come to the green flag. Three wide as they go into turn one.
Erik Jones in that black and blue car on the bottom made it 3 wide and picking up some spots right here with that aggressive move.
So with that restart zone and start-finish line in that new area, you're going to pay attention to what lane was the winning lane, what lane dominated that start, and Kevin Harvick on the inside clearly in control into turn one. That's going to be important late in the race, what lane they choose, the control car.
You see Alex Bowman in that blue car, 88 car, all the way on the bottom of the racetrack, below that yellow line. Remember, you can run anywhere you want to run on this racetrack. Don't want to be below that yellow line in this end of the corner, though. This end of the racetrack is such a big difference on the banking. If you get below that yellow line over here, you can get in trouble. Right here, Joey Logano's going to go to the bottom, make a move.
And Jeff, Dale Jr. was just talking about the start there where Kevin Harvick was on the bottom, Chase Elliott on the outside. Chase told me before the race he felt like the inside was going to be the best, but like you said, throughout the day, the whole field is going to learn. They're going to be watching each and every restart to see which one is best, but right now, definitely the bottom paying off the best.
Right along board the roof cam of Joey Logano, Coca-Cola in-car, trying to get by that 17, but you saw him have trouble doing that. Stenhouse fought and won that position back. That's what's great about this racetrack. It's easy to get under a guy. It's hard to complete that pass. We're going to see that all day long.
And right here, why it's hard. Look at Logano. Look how loose he is. Teammate Keselowski behind him. So right here, this is where the 17's got to get back to the bottom. This is where you gain an advantage. If you can get underneath the guy, you get a little better launch off of turn two. Now Joey side by side. He'll cut this corner just trying to straighten out the line to get into turn one.
He's trying to get up under the 17. He's going to get that left front right on that yellow line.
Still in line with you.
Just loses a little drive. You know, he's trying to put the power down, trying to turn the wheel at the same time, and just loses a little rear drive, spins the tires. Had his teammate up underneath him too, right behind him, taking air off the spoiler just a little bit.
And I noticed right away, he looked in the mirror like, who was that did it? And I'm sure when he saw that it was his teammate, he was probably thinking, this isn't where I want to have someone get into the back of me early in this race, Dave.
Well, and that's where the comment, don't take anybody else off, comes from. Just how do you race around people today? Race so that you don't lose momentum, as he told Parker, and count down to green. But remember, this is not one of their best tracks on Team 22. So they just want to make sure they race clean today, keep some momentum going heading to Miami, but they certainly don't want to make fewer friends than maybe Joey has by being aggressive early in the playoffs.
Currently having a few issues right now with scoring, so we'll try to keep you as up to date as we can. Right now, it's Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, all in the top 5.
So Joey Logano couldn't get by Stenhouse. Brad Keselowski was able to make that pass. Took him a little time, took him a little work. Joey will try again. Martin Truex Jr. side by side with Austin Dillon down in turns 1.
Martin Truex Jr. doing a good job. Started 13th, riding along with the Toyota cam on the rear bumper. So doing a nice job driving toward the front. Ran into his crew chief Cole Pern last night at dinner, and Cole said they were just racing points, Steve. They knew how many points they needed to get today to get themselves in Miami with a chance to win that championship.
Well, we talk about agendas, Jeff, and I think that's the agenda for the 18 and the 78. It's all about basically hungry hippos. How many points can you gobble up in the first and the second stage? If they can do that, they're guaranteed at Miami no matter what anyone else does. I think that's the key, Rick, right? Worry about what you can control, and for the 78 and the 18, that's the idea. Score enough points.
There's a bucket of points available to these drivers if you're in the top 10 at the end of each stage. Stage 1 and Stage 2. If you finish first in Stage 1, you get 10 points. All the way down to finishing in 10th, you get 1 point. That's for Stage 1 and Stage 2. So these drivers are already thinking about trying to fill that bucket up with points as quickly and early as they can.
Well, you're talking about points. You see the 41. Kurt Busch making a move on Truex. Kurt Busch needs those points. He's trying to beat Harvick to be that last guy in on points if Harvick doesn't win this race. Marty.
Behind the 41 is his teammate in the 10 of Erik Almirola. He doesn't care about points, guys. All he cares about today is the win, and he told me that's how we're going to approach this. In fact, they came into this race weekend with Kevin Harvick set up underneath the 10 car. He said, I couldn't be aggressive getting into the corner, and I knew I was a 5th place car at best, so they made changes trying to make it a winning race car, Dave.
And Jeff, you were talking about points with Kurt Busch. He said this week that penalty on the 4 car helped him immensely. -3, way better than being -25 going into this race. In fact, he said, I feel like we won 2 stages already without even firing up the race car.
Well, those points, that penalty opened the door, and they know that. But what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to get points in every stage. Right now, Kevin Harvick leading this race. You know, he's looking at getting 10 points if this thing were to go on. And Kurt Busch, he is not even in the top 10. He would get no points at the end of this stage. They've got to work themselves to the front.
It's Harvick, Elliott, Blaney, Busch, Jones in the top 5, Hamlin, Larson, Keselowski, Logano, and Bowman all in the top 10. And again, those 10 spots, very important if you're searching for the points. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by USAA. Insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. And by Ford, going further so you can. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Phoenix. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can watch throughout the broadcast, select alternate camera angles, or ride along with the in-car video of your favorite drivers. You never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Go to NASCAR.com/drive. And 19 laps complete. Kevin Harvick out in front. Want to take a look at some Outback curbside takeaways from Phoenix. When we talk about Kevin Harvick at this racetrack, no one is better. 9 wins, over 1,500 laps led. He's finished 6th or better in the last 10 races, and won at ISM in March after that penalty he had in Las Vegas in the previous race. Now, if Kevin Harvick places in the top 10 today, you get a free Bloomin' Onion with purchase on Bloomin' Monday.
We talked about Kevin Harvick. He was the favorite coming into this race. Nobody told Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott's actually a little bit quicker right now. We don't know if Harvick's pacing himself or not, but you can see Chase Elliott wants to put some pressure on Harvick.
About a half a second separating the top 2, and then it falls back quite a bit to Ryan Blaney, who's 2 seconds behind these two.
The most impressive thing for me right there, the 9 car in turns 1 and 2, entered the corner on the racetrack, not using the apron, but turned and ran across the apron on an exit. That tells me that car is working really well through the middle of the corner. Good front end on that car. Parker.
Hey, guys, you know what? What do you do when as a driver when your car's really good? You don't say a word. You're silent. That's what Chase Elliott's here been this whole first run. He has not said a word on the radio as he chases down that 4 car right now.
Great run by the 9 of Chase Elliott. He's closed the gap, was almost to the bumper of Kevin Harvick.
So right now, you look at Chase Elliott. Number one, he's hoping to get this lap traffic. Lap traffic's going to play a role today. We've seen it every week. It's mattered. Chase Elliott trying to take advantage of it now. Look at a different approach. Look how low Chase Elliott is. He is a car length and a half below that yellow line.
The 4 car just kind of keeping that distance. I wonder if Kevin Harvick's just sitting here running a pace that's comfortable to him, not pushing his car, because it seems like anytime he wants to put a couple car lengths on that 9 car, he does it. But Chase Elliott looks great right now through the center of the corner. That's going to be the part of the corner all day long that's going to be the toughest. Watch this here. Some lap traffic. Look how far down Chase is, all the way on the apron. A whole car length and a half, 2 car lengths down on the apron of the racetrack. I mean, we just don't see guys use that part of the racetrack. We never have before.
And that's on a green flag. Imagine going through there after a restart. You know, the first lap through there, they're going to be even lower than that. If you can run there now, you can certainly run lower than that at a little slower speed on a restart.
Harvick seems to be getting through the lap traffic a little bit better than Chase Elliott, because now you see the gap, 6-7 car lengths separating the two, where we saw Chase Elliott had closed the gap to being right on Harvick's bumper.
We thought Chase Elliott was great this weekend all through practice and showing that right now in the race. Another guy that was really strong, Erik Jones, as he's trying to chase down his teammate Denny Hamlin for 5th place. Erik's ran great here, had great speed in practice. Felt like he's one of the best non-playoff drivers today to have an opportunity to get a win.
Going back in the pack a little bit, we talked about Truex Jr. just a bit ago. Well, he's down to 14th. Going the wrong way. Really tough handling car. You see Aric Almirola right behind him. And look at the work. You see how frustrated he is. He just can't do anything. Seems like he's got a lot of wheel into it in the middle of the corner, like it's really tight, Kelly.
Well, and that's just it. He said he was really tight getting into the corner, but really loose on throttle. He just says he has no rear grip. He's been trying to adjust the track bar inside the cockpit, but it's not really helping. And you guys talked about this team in the point situation. They had a goal set of accumulating 35 additional points here today. They thought that would be good enough to assure them a spot in the championship 4, but that becomes really difficult if they don't collect any stage points in stage 1 and stage 2. And as you look at it, they came in with a 25-point lead. Right now, just showing 9 points above that cut line.
You have to remember, this car had trouble getting through inspection, and the car chief was ejected. So even though this car was good in practice, or just, I thought, decent, okay, a top 10 car, you have to wonder what kind of preparations were made for the race. Could there have been a mistake made? Or did they just miss the setup? We don't know. We'll have to see if they can make adjustments. But you see only 9 above, Rick, so they're losing ground.
The question has been, what will the focus be on the 78 team? It was announced earlier this year they would close the doors. Well, this last week, both driver Martin Truex Jr. and crew chief Cole Pearn they have been told that they will race at Joe Gibbs Racing. So their position's now solidified for 2019. But that means that the driver of the 19, Daniel Suarez, who's in that car now, he does not have a ride for 2019 that has been publicized as of yet. So big news coming out of both the 78 team and Joe Gibbs Racing this week.
Well, if the 78 struggling, Joey Logano's really having a hard time with it. He's been backing up as well as Truex Jr. just went by him. This guy here, he's locked in. Their focus could be on Homestead to get into the, get the car ready and get it prepared. They could be working on that stuff ahead of time, but I'm sure Joey would like to be running a little bit better than that. His teammate Keselowski running in 8th. Blaney in 3rd. Blaney pretty happy with his car right now. But Joey not really making any ground right now.
Junior, you mentioned that Logano locked in.
Oh, look at that. He's struggling on corner exit. Losing the front of the car, can't get in the gas, waiting on the car to turn.
He's already said that he feels like their focus now is already on Miami. Harvick out front here at Phoenix. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series Racing, telecast presented by USAA. And today's aerial coverage provided by Coca-Cola. A beautiful view of this reconfigured, especially the infield, but reconfigured racetrack in the sense that the start-finish line has moved to right in front of the grandstands. Marty?
Rick, Kevin Harvick has chimed in for the first time today, led all 37 laps to this point, saying his car is starting to get too tight, both in the center of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So if Rodney Childers is not here, where is he? Well, he's back at Kannapolis, North Carolina. The decision really made as a company group because they wanted him to focus on the cars for Miami, get that car ready, but also because he's in essence a war room, Dave. All these monitors, tons of technology, the in-car camera, the radio. He almost has more information there than he would have here at the racetrack.
Yeah, nice quiet environment to view all that too. Joey Logano's team may wish they had that right now, dropping back to 14th from his 9th place starting position. Joey radioing in, absolutely gives up, so disconnected, 6 up on the track bar and will not turn. Joey's talked this week, and I confirmed with his crew chief Todd Gordon this morning, they have worn out the Miami race videos. Moving on to the Championship 4 has been on their mind. This race, they want to be positive, but has not been their focus.
And Joey Logano, the only one with a win that has advanced him into the Championship 4, he has already said and made mention he feels like he's the favorite. And so Joey Logano has voiced that a few times. Maybe some of the other drivers don't agree with him.
I do think that we're in a great spot considering where we've been the last 7, 8 races, and really throughout the playoffs we scored a lot of points, we've led a lot of laps, and I think now at this point, having the advantage of winning Martinsville into Miami and being able to think about that, like I just said, that gives us an advantage. I think it kind of makes us the favorite at this point.
I mean, I don't really care what he thinks.
He's the only one locked in to go to Homestead, so he's the only guy racing right now. So, he can be the favorite if he wants to.
I know what I have to do. I don't need to tell anyone, but, talk is cheap. Put it on the racetrack and show us what you got. That's all that matters. So that's kind of what I focus on, and that's what I'll plan on doing if I get there.
And right now, a little bit of an uphill battle for Martin Truex Jr. He continues to struggle as he is running in the 13th spot. And behind him, even further, is Clint Boyer running 16th, Dave.
And for the driver of the 14 car, they've been trying to science out how his car is. The spotter told the crew chief it looks like he's loose on entry and has no rear grip. The reason they use looked and not sounds is this.
I'm really struggling to understand him. If you heard him, let me know.
So with pit stops coming up in this stage and throughout the day, Junior, I'm sure at times you've had a radio where your people couldn't understand you. How can you adjust that microphone inside the helmet?
Yeah, it just depends on what he's got. Some of those microphones are mounted into the helmet in the very front. Some of them are on an arm like you traditionally would think they would be mounted, and he just has to get that a little bit closer. Hearing a lot of the car noise, and under caution they'll be able to talk to him a little bit and get that information to him to where he can change it. Right along top the roof of this car, Ford Performance camera. As he gets underneath Joey Logano. Joey continued to slide.
See Clint Boyer using the bottom of the racetrack. That's traditionally the way it works, but Junior, you and I are looking out of the window, and we're seeing some things start to change. We've seen Ryan Newman on the top, and surprise, surprise, here comes the 42, Kyle Larson. He's always looking for the top. Well, he's not just running one lane up. He's about 3 or 4 lanes up. Watch him in turn 1, turn 3. Nowhere near the bottom. I call that 3 lanes off the bottom. Makes a good exit. See how it helps him on corner exit? It goes down into turn 1. Everybody's been wrapping the yellow line. We've been talking about people below the yellow line. Look at Larson. He's not even thinking about being near the line.
Yeah, when you get into these long runs, that bottom, we heard it from Kevin Harvick, that center of the corner starts to tighten up. So when you move up off the bottom, move up high, the car turns better. You get the right rear up in that gray. Get the right sides up in that gray, get that right rear sliding around a little bit and get that car turning and rotating.
And Kurt Busch behind him, he's watching it, he's seeing it, he's like, man, maybe I need to go try this. I'd have to go try it. If I see one guy doing it and having success, I would have to try it, and there he goes. Well, I thought he was going there, but he went all the way below the yellow line. Dave.
And Jeff and Dale, if your track bar is set to 0 and that's just what the driver of the 42 radioed to his team, doesn't that mean the car's handling pretty well? You haven't had to use it, right?
I'd say so. Yeah, I think that if you're not moving that track bar, you're pretty happy with the balance, because that's the first thing you're going to go to when you think the car's tightening up a little bit is moving that track bar. They got a lot of other things inside the car too, brake levers, adjusters, to be able to, and this is a track where you will use those more than you will maybe at 1.5 miles. This is a place where you're on the brakes hard into turn 3. You're going to be pulling those adjusters around, making that car turn better and enter the corner better. He's making a lot of great time up on the top here.
27 laps to go in stage 1. Kevin Harvick has been out front all 47 laps up to this point. Now you can get 10 extra chances to win a fan-built Chevrolet, Ford, or Toyota truck when you use promo code LASTCHANCE. Go to NASCAR.com/playoffs promo. Enter promo code LASTCHANCE to get your bonus entries. Kevin Harvick has led 53 laps of the Can-Am 500 from ISM Raceway here in Phoenix. And we're very honored that on this Veterans Day, we can show our appreciation to the men and women of the military that continue to make it possible for us to do what we love to do, which is watch racing and be a part of this great country. So we thank all the veterans out there that have put us in this position. Rutledge.
Rick, I got a beautiful view up here on the roof from the spotter stand. You can take a look. You got a really great view of most of the track, but as you go into turns 1 and 2, you really lose the car, certainly the depth of field there for these spotters. Guys, I'm wondering there from your view, how hard is it for the drivers and spotters to work together when you've got that limited line of sight?
Well, driving into turn 1, it's really hard. And on these restarts, it's going to be very difficult because we've seen them fan out, and it's hard to tell the driver that you're outside of 4 wide. What does that mean going into that corner where they're all going to funnel down? So that communication is really important, because outside of 4 wide doesn't mean the same thing here as it does at other racetracks.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to get some communication of some of these restarts. These guys, these spotters and drivers that are working in the middle of the field, they're going to have their hands full of cars all around them doing all kinds of different things.
And guys, that's one of the things that hasn't changed about this track. The spotters have always had that vantage point here at the racetrack. They've always looked where the cars were going away from them into turn 1 and coming right at them coming out of turn 2.
Clint Boyer trying really hard. He has to win today, and things have just not gone well the last few weeks. Clint Boyer trying really hard off turn 4 there. That's not unusual, is it? This racetrack, you get a big push in the middle of the corner, you go to put the throttle down, the rear end doesn't work, and end up getting in the wall, Dave.
I think they have just a little bit of separation between the rear bumper cover and that right rear quarter panel. Shouldn't be a big deal, but they're watching it. Driver reporting it's just too loose.
I think the frustration level is pretty high in that car after the last several weeks, but guy, things are going well so far today. Kurt Busch, we just saw him got by Kyle Larson. Now he's using this lap traffic to get by his brother there in the 18 car.
He's been steadily moving toward the front.
And now just 17 to go in stage 1. We're riding along with Kyle Busch and the Toyota onboard.
And remember, this is showing Kevin Harvick as the leader and winning this race. If he doesn't win this race, then he and that 41 of Kurt Busch are in an unbelievably tight point battle. So every point, every position that Busch can get right here is huge.
Well, you mentioned the 4 being marked as the leader. Chase Elliott is not letting him relax at any point. He has kept it under a 1-second lead really for this entire stage. And with just a few laps to go, 16 to go until the end of this stage, he's forcing Kevin Harvick to make great decisions in traffic, Rick. One mistake at one end of the racetrack, just following the wrong car, will cost Kevin Harvick the lead with Chase Elliott being that close.
And with 15 to go, we're able to watch this battle in NASCAR nonstop. From Illumination, the creators of Despicable Me and The Secret Life of Pets, comes a unique re-imaging of the beloved tale, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. Now play. Kevin Harvick taking the lead role here at ISM Raceway, as he has been out front since the drop of the green flag. 66 laps complete, 9 to go in stage 1. And again, at the end of this stage points distributed. 10 points for the winner, all the way down to 1 point for 10th.
Rick, remember last year, a non-playoff driver won this race, Matt Kenseth. Well, we have 3 non-playoff drivers, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ryan Blaney in this 12 car running very well in 3rd place. Behind him, Denny Hamlin looking for his first win this year. That's amazing to say. Kelly.
Yeah, and the importance to getting that win would be keeping alive a streak that's now 12 straight years, I should say, of at least 1 win for Denny Hamlin. He's got just 2 races left if he's going to extend it. His crew chief, Mike Wheeler, told me they were really happy at the end of happy hour practice yesterday, so they had good expectations. He's been quiet on the radio, except for a handful of laps ago when Denny said that he had a shake in the right front. So the crew's been on standby, but it sounds like they're going to be able to make it to the end of stage 1.
Rick, you mentioned what's going to happen here in 7 more laps. Stage 1 will come to a close, and that means points will be awarded to the top 10 cars. 10 points to the leader, 1 point for 10th. What that means is Kevin Harvick, who's currently leading, he'll gain those 10 points. Chase Elliott, he'll get 9 points. He's running 2nd. Kurt Busch doing a nice job gaining those points, currently running 5th. I think the big loser, Martin Truex Jr., currently running 13th. We talked that they were decent in points, but that starts to go away a little at a time. Missing points in the first stages could be costly to the 78 if something happens later down the road. I mean, you see only 5 above projecting out the rest of the race. That is not the comfort that the 78 was looking for.
So, Steve, one advantage the 78 has, if there's an advantage in not running as well as you want, is Kyle Busch is not exactly taking advantage of it. They're in a pretty tight point battle. Not real tight, but it could be if something happened. Kyle Busch, he's only 8th. So he's given up an opportunity to get some stage points here. If something happened and you end up, you see right now, it's 14 points between the 2 of them. With these restarts, you never know what's going to happen. So, you know, Kyle Busch not having a great first stage, that's taking a little pressure off of Martin Truex.
Truex trying to get by this car of Erik Almirola. He's been trying, and Erik is racing him hard. I mean, that's what this is great stuff, because this is what this playoff format has created, making these guys have to race for every single position, even back here in 12th and 13th, only 71 laps into the race. Marty.
Hey, for Erik Almirola, guys, he's sitting there in the 12th position. This is a race team. They don't care about points. We mentioned earlier, all they care about is the win for that 10 car. He said, I need help rolling the center, and I'm sliding the right front in the middle of the corner. They've tried the high line like Kyle Larson. They've tried running low, just no speed right now in that 10 car. Kelly?
Well, the 78 team of Martin Truex Jr. they've really preached all weekend long that they just need to go out there and kind of take care of business as usual. But the team did tell me this morning that their mindset really could change in the third
Problem
stage.
with the 4. Harvick up the racetrack, easily passed is Chase Elliott, but the 4 slow on the track.
He's got a flat, Rick. He said he had a flat. Tim Fiedel, as spotter, said we got something wrong here. Kevin didn't say anything on the radio for quite a while, then came on and said, I've got a flat. That's all he said. You see him coming to pit road here.
It's going to be closed, by the way, Marty, because 2 laps to go. They close pit road.
Well, in double trouble. No interliners in these short track tires on the right side of the 4. So you see the sparks, you see the damage. Even if it gets to pit road, the right front splitter missing, the right front sway bar arm dragging. The 4 of Kevin Harvick, not to mention the time he's losing, but the damage being done. This may remove the 4 from a potential winner.
He was only 3 points ahead of the cutoff line when this race started. Being out front helped, but now the points are definitely going to matter. Chase Elliott working his way down the backstretch for the final time in stage 1 as he goes through 3 and 4. He is going to end up winning stage 1. Chase Elliott gets the win. Kevin Harvick with problems on pit road.
Unbelievable, Rick had led 72 laps to that point, all but 3 laps. He was 3 laps short from making it to the end of the stage. Clearly a right front. They did say Tim Fiedel with the spotter got some binoculars on that right front splitter, said it looked fine to him. It didn't scrub off too much, but you got to wonder if there is suspension damage on that 4 car, guys.
Huge problems for the 4 team. Look now at the points. 30 points below the cutoff line for Kevin Harvick as they run at the end of stage 1. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. KFC's new 10-piece chicken feast. And by Credit One Bank, the credit card perfect for everyday purchases. And so big changes coming with just 2 laps to go at the end of stage 1. The 4 cars tired down has to come to pit road, lost a lap. That enabled the 9 of Chase Elliott to get the stage win. And now they're coming to pit road, Parker.
And he was basically gifted that. They only told him that the 4 car had a tire issue, no much more than that. He said he felt like the 4 car was freer in front of him, but he wanted to see where this car goes in the next run. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. No adjustments on the 9 car, Dave.
Parker, the 41 of Kurt Busch was a little loose, but I think he told his crew chief, Billy Scott, don't change it too much, because he said it really came to us there at the end. He'll get 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
Erik Almirola under your screen trying to work his way towards his pit stall. He said the car just got way too tight and sliding the right front in the center of the corner. That was his biggest issue. They did feel like the longer the run went, they did get a little bit better to the competition, what were so far behind at that point. Kyle Busch said his car was, quote, ungodly tight for the 18 car. Kind of fell back there towards the end of the run. Did collect some stage points, though. Looks like the 9 will win that race off pit road, Rick.
And the race off of pit road brought to you by Kroger Click List. As you see, Chase Elliott holding serve. Kurt Busch gaining a couple spots. USAA. Let's go down to the Peacock pit box and Chris Devoda.
Yeah, Rick, this is where I'm sitting right now. And by the way, when Chase Elliott took the lead, the fans here in turn 3 just went crazy. So Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, and I will be in victory lane for the post-race show. We were already starting to make our notes, possibly for Kevin Harvick winning this race. This whole thing has blown wide open. Desperation was our word in the pre-race. Will that desperation come from the 9-time Phoenix winner? By the way, if you or I had a flat tire on the road, might cost us some time, maybe some money. It could cost Kevin Harvick this championship, Rick.
Yeah, big problems for the Ford team. They're going to have a deep hole to dig out of.
Well, they are. but they did have a few fortunate breaks. First of all, the timing. Why it was unfortunate that it came so close to the end of the stage that pit road was closed, that means the 4 is under penalty. He'll have to start at the tail end. That's why Tony Gibson didn't leave the 4 on the racetrack, wasn't eligible for the waiver round. When you're under penalty, you can't take any of that free gifts. You can't have any of that benefit, right? You have to serve the penalty. But what was fortunate for the 4 of Kevin Harvick is it was coming to the end of the stage, so Chase Elliott crosses the start-finish line and slows right down, Marty. So right now, the 4 of Kevin Harvick 1 lap down. He has a great race car. He has 230 laps left. So Marty, unless there's some major damage, I would expect to see the 4 of Kevin Harvick become a player again as the race wears on.
And Kevin Harvick just asked that question of Tim Fido, are we under penalty? And they said yes, so we have to start at the tail end, as he mentioned. So he dropped back behind all those cars. Only 5 other cars that he has to get past to get back on the lead lap, actually 6 cars. And here's the tire that came off. Now, they wondered if it was a melted bead. In other words, that the bead where the tire connects to the wheel got too hot and melted. That was not the case. They do think it might have been an air pressure adjustment needed in the tire, though, so they did make an air pressure adjustment to get them fixed up.
And the field approaching the Geico restart zone. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch making up row 1. That inside line dives all the way down, cutting the dog leg off as they go into turn 1.
Look how low Kyle Larson is. That 3 grooves below that yellow line. How can he merge back up? It'll be 3 wide, real loose.
Kurt Busch coming back on the outside of Chase Elliott, and he's going to take the lead. Wow, what a great run around turn 1 and 2 for Kurt Busch on the top.
And be clear, what are they racing for? Look at the left. When the 41 passes the 9 only is losing the race, he's out of the playoff picture. All these leaders came to pit road, took 4 tires. Chase Elliott is looking like he's still going to have to win this race versus someone like the 41, Rick.
Yeah, the 41, anytime anyone that was below that cutoff line gets up there and is the race leader will indicate that just below Joey Logano, because he's guaranteed a spot with his win earlier in this round. Now, the race leader, if they're a part of the playoffs, part of this round of 8, they will be shown ahead of everyone else in points.
Chase Elliott struggling on the short run here. He's got his hands full with Ryan Blaney on the inside here, down in turn 1. Blaney using that apron, trying to get his car to turn.
Chase way up the racetrack. He saw what happened when Kurt Busch passed him using that upper lane, followed him, learned that lesson, went to the middle of the racetrack rather than run to the bottom.
Now, look at that, teammates. Man, Keselowski really had to be careful there. He almost got in the back of his teammate getting in the braking zone of turn 3.
Kevin Harvick scored a lap down, right now running 28th. And he's not in a position for the free pass. He'll have to get by, as earlier Marty mentioned, at least 6 cars that are also a lap down that are in front of him.
That's the goal right now, Rick. It's all about being the leader on lap 312. So goal number 1, finding a way to catch Jamie McMurray. He's the first car 1 lap down. Get to him. Be the first car 1 lap down. That can get you back in the lead lap when the caution comes out, and then you game on. Then you can go get this race won, but it's 1 goal at a time. Marty.
And Jeff, I can't emphasize enough how calm this entire race team has been since all that went down. In fact, Kevin Harvick himself, very calm on the radio. He only said one time, I think I have a flat. Then clearly they saw what happened. They did put on 4 brand new Goodyear tires. Goodyear engineers are looking at that right front tire from the last time to find out exactly what went wrong. But you're right. The focus right now, find that 1 car and pass them.
So, Marty, my question is, it's a new right side tire for this series. It wasn't running trucks or Xfinity. So have you seen any other wear issues or any other issues up and down pit road? Because I've heard none reported.
I have not so far, Steve, and we've gone up and down pit road. The one you would think that might have had an issue was Kyle Larson. He was the one running the high line. Kevin Harvick was very conservative on that run.
Yeah, Dale Jr. and I were having that argument. How conservative did the 42 need to be and the 18 need to be? So, Dale, I'm with you. I didn't think it would be a wear issue, but something caused that 4 tire to fail. We'll have to keep an eye as we continue.
There you see Jamie McMurray in the shot right in front of the 4 car of Harvick. Harvick has to see him up there. He knows. They're telling him that's the car you got to get in front of to try to get this lucky dog to get us back on the lead lap.
And that's your championship. That's what you see. When you're that driver's seat, you're not thinking, we still got over 200 laps left. You're thinking, this is my whole year right here, getting in front of that 1 car. The intensity inside that 4 car is high right now. You never know when that caution's going to come out. You can see it. You got to take advantage of it.
McMurray's car, by the way, on that first run, loose into the corner. They made adjustments for that. Marty mentioned maybe the 42 would have a tire look interesting coming off the car. They radioed to Kyle Larson. Tires look good. And, guys, I didn't have any issues up and down pit road on any of my guys.
David Reagan also a lap down as he's trying to get by him and the one of Jamie McMurray. That is for the free pass position. If Harvick's able to clear the one of Jamie McMurray and a caution comes out, he'll be back on the lead lap.
Rick, sometimes it's a challenge to know how good the leader is when he's up there in clean air leading the pack, but I think just this proves this 4 of Kevin Harvick is as advertised. This car looks wonderful back in traffic, guys.
But Steve, still with a little bit of damage on that right front. You know the splitter's worn down. The bottom of the right front fender looks bent in just a little bit. You have to wonder if you get long green flag runs, how much that's going to hurt this car.
Well, he ran a 27.95, a 27.71 before that. Our leader's out there running 27.20. So as he gets closer toward the front, those times should get better. But I don't know that he's going to have the competitive car he started this race with.
And right now they told him you are in the position to get the free pass where you are running. But Kurt Busch could put cars a lap down also as he is out front. Chase Elliott behind him. Blaney, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch all in the top 5. Now as we head to break, Coca-Cola brings the Phoenix Heat to this week's edition of Race Day Fuel. Caution has come out at ISM Raceway. This time, Joey Logano brings the caution out, and this means that that move that Joey Logano made at Martinsville, where he moved Martin Truex Jr. out of the way to get the win and a guaranteed spot in the championship 4, really is paying dividends right now.
You heard it there, guys. The middle of the dog leg, the left rear tire obviously goes flat. Not sure if he ran over something or what the issue is. At that point, he's just along for the slide.
Seen left rear tire issue on Paul Menard's car in practice. Another one here in the race.
Have to wonder if they've got that left rear tire real low on air pressure and it hurts it early in a run. Seen that before. Huge benefactor right here, Kevin Harvick. He was the first car lap down.
So he gets the free pass, will be back on the lead lap. And that's bad news for the rest of the competition. Kelly.
And the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. going to take this opportunity to come to pit road. He's not been completely happy with his race car. They missed an adjustment last time down pit road, but now he's called off the wedge they were going to put in. It sounds like it'll be an air pressure adjustment and 4 Goodyear tire Sunoco fuel for Martin Truex Jr.
Kevin Harvick gets the wave around. Kurt Busch out front. Little contact there. Suarez hard into the back of the 6.
Way to cover the
.50 laps still to go in stage 2 of the Can-Am 500 from ISM Raceway. And at this incredible new facility, Toyota Rattlesnake Hill remains one of ISM Raceway's most defining features. And Steve, obviously you know why it's named Rattlesnake Hill.
And that's the same reason I've never experienced this view in person. But you are right. Listen, when you come out here early in the morning before the garage opens, those fans are lined up, kind of first come, first serve. You see them stake their claim over the years. Now you see they have the flat spots cut into it. It's just such a great idea to come out here, bring your cooler. I mean, what's better, cooler than a bag of chips in a race?
Great vantage point.
I might risk the rattlesnakes for that, Rick.
I wouldn't. I don't like rattlesnakes.
Burton's no
These
way.
grandstands are too nice for that. Well,
Your
Kevin
brother.
Kevin Harvick. Yeah, Ward would. But Kevin Harvick, you know, he's back in the game. Get that caution coming out at the right time. That's got him back in the game. But we shouldn't forget about Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch went and took the lead from Chase Elliott. Now Kurt Busch, if he can finish this thing off, long way to go. But that moves him to Miami with a chance to win a championship. He's won here before as well. You know, Kevin's got a long way to go, and he's going to have to run down his teammate to do it.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Hart was going to win this race walking away. And what were guys going to do to beat him? How were they going to beat him? Well, now Kevin Harvick's the one that's fighting from behind, and he's going to have to claw his way back into position. I'm just concerned how badly worn off is that right front splitter, and that's going to affect the aero in that car and cost him a little bit of speed.
After the caution and getting back on the lead lap, Harvick, 19th. Kurt Busch out front. Aerial coverage provided by Coca-Cola lets us see this sold-out facility. The campgrounds sold out for this race. And 2x2, guys, we've seen crazy restarts in the trucks and the Xfinity, and I know we're going to see crazy restarts here as well.
Well, this time we're going to do this restart from the helicopter. We're going to get a view of what goes on back here, back in the pack. Still got a lap to go. They added a lap, but you know, we focus on the craziness in the front 2 or 3 rows, but it gets even crazier further back, and that's where Kevin Harvick is. He's going to restart back in 19, so he's going to be right in the middle of it.
Marty.
Well, guys, you mentioned Kevin Harvick starting back in 19th. He has 20 lap fresher tires and almost everybody in front of him because he came to pit road once he got the free pass. 4 fresh Goodyear tires. That should make a bit of a difference. And you guys keep talking about the right front, wondering whether or not there might have been damage when that right front went down earlier. Kevin said no, it all feels fine to him suspension-wise. So this is going to be interesting. The best car in the field, the fastest car in the field, now restarting 19th, but back on the lead lap.
This restart here, Kurt Busch will be the control car, and he's on the inside. Continue to watch that. It looks like that inside line is definitely the lane choice for these guys as they get later on in this race, and these restarts get more intense, and we start to see that outside line get a little more aggressive.
Now we wonder if Chase Elliott learned something by being passed on the outside, that we saw Kurt Busch make that move to take the lead away from him. We'll see if he'll take advantage of that. Let's take a look at some laps from above, brought to you by Coca-Cola as they come back to the restart.
Kurt with a really good launch. Blaney going way low.
Look at Blaney.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Almost came up into the 41, had to check up. That slowed him down as well as Kyle Busch, who was behind him.
That transition so aggressive back up onto the racetrack off the apron with a car on the outside of you. Easy to get out of shape there. Look at these guys back here behind. Truex, Jimmy Johnson, Bowman. All those guys trying to work down into the bottom of turn 3.
3 wide behind them, back way back in the back, 3 wide.
Yeah,
that's tight.
See how they drive across.
4 wide.
Yeah, 4 wide down there with Bubba Wallace. And then you get down there and look at him. Nobody knows who's lifting. Who's lifting? Who's going to go in here?
There's Harvick in that blue car on the very bottom.
3 wide still off of turn 2 there with Jimmy Johnson. Works itself out to 2 wide.
It's so intense back here. This is the most difficult race there is. The leaders got it way easier compared to these guys.
Going 3 wide again. Byron to the inside of his teammate. Look how much he gains just by cutting. That's about a car length he gained there. That's why you got to take advantage of that when you can.
Makes it difficult to get in turn 1, though, doesn't it? Your angle is messed up. Your angle of attack into the corner is messed up. When you do that, you may as well just run that apron. It actually doesn't hurt your angle of attack as much as if you try to go back onto the racetrack.
Just to clean it up, Joey Logano out of the race. Also, as we went away, you saw the 19 of Daniel Suarez. He also had so much damage they couldn't get the car back out onto the track, but Logano is with Marty.
And let's chat with him right now. Certainly not the way Joey Logano wanted to start his championship 4 week at Miami. So what happened with the left rear? Did you have an indication it was going to go before?
No, it just came apart. I don't know what it was. It may have been something that we ran over, or maybe just going down onto the flat a couple laps earlier. May have done it. Not really sure what it was. Just came out of nowhere and thought I had it saved for a second, but all the tires were flat by the time I let my foot off the brake and tried to save it, and it's ended up in the fence there. So, it's what it is. And, the good thing is we're locked into Miami, and it doesn't really make a difference for us. So we can still keep that momentum, keep our heads high, and focus hard for next week.
And the focus forward, trying to win a championship next week for Joey Logano, guys.
We're showing Kevin Harvick. He had to start at the tail end after taking the wave around. He's worked his way through the majority of lap down cars up to some lead lap cars now in 17th, but back at the front of the field, 2 drivers really racing for their playoff hopes. The 41 of Kurt Busch. You look at the points on the left. As the leader, he's in the race. The 9 of Chase Elliott is 9 points out. If that position swaps, so does the spots in the playoff. The 41 would be out, the 9 would be in, Parker.
And Steve, if you remember back to the stage 1 break, they made no adjustments on that 9, and after he lost the lead, he just said he's too tight right now. He's lost the ability to turn in the center of the corners, and it gets worse when he gets right up behind the 41 of Kurt Busch. If you look behind him there, that 2 car of Keselowski's also coming, gets right up on the rear bumper of Chase Elliott. Whoa, they touch.
That was close action right there. Chase Elliott got really loose in the middle of the corner. Keselowski tried to get underneath him. A little bit of contact, as Parker said. Chase Allard gathered it back up. Chase can't give this spot up. Chase has got to keep digging. Racing that 41 car. See right there, the 9 got real loose. A little bit of contact. Chase ain't gonna give this spot up easy. He's racing Kurt Busch with a chance to win a championship. That's how he's got to look at this.
And remember, coming into this race, Kevin Harvick was 3 points above Kurt Busch. Well, Kevin Harvick looked as though he was cruising to an easy win in stage 1 and getting 10 more points because points are very important for him, but then he ends up not getting any points. Chase Elliott got 10 points, who was just below Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch got 7 points at the end of stage 1. So points definitely a big hole for Kevin Harvick. You see him right now 26 points out of that championship 4 when it looked as though he was easily the favorite to win this race in advance.
Yeah, and the picture changes with who the leader is. The 41 leads, changes it. The 9 leading changes it. The 4 leading changes. So, Jeff, it's complicated, right? If you're a crew chief down there, I'm trying to do the math, but who I'm chasing keeps moving with who leads the race.
I tell you what, a major difference that this race has versus some races is the length of the race. So Kevin Harvick had that problem at the end of stage 1. He doesn't have that long to get to the front. He can't just methodically take his time to get to the front. It's less than 200 laps to go. It's going to be hard to pass. He's going to have a sense of urgency because this race is a fairly short race. Kelly.
Well, that sense of urgency is exactly what this 78 team of Martin Truex Jr. has. That point lead now above the cut line stands at just 11 points. And here was the message before that restart.
Oh, you're doing all you can, but 3 points critical right here. I know, bud. I'll try to get all I can here.
We talked about the handling of the 78 car's been a little bit off. Haven't heard anything from Martin this run.
And Kelly, right now he's outside the top 10, so at the end of stage 2, he might not get any points there either. We mentioned at the top of the show, the journey for the championship may end today. And right now, these 4 cars are outside of the championship 4, having to fight to try to get into that title fight. I want to take a look at the Toyota Camry on-track car, which right now is in victory lane.
This car is so much fun to drive on Saturdays. I get a chance to drive it, but today we're going to talk about this splitter. We talked Kevin Harvick had that right front tire go down. You can see the bottom right edge of this splitter on this car. That's the problem. How worn out is that? We may not know until we get to a real long run. Sometimes new tires will cover up, will make it so you don't really know it. But on old tires, wearing that splitter out, will that hurt him and prohibit him from having a chance to win this race and moving on to Miami with a chance to win a championship?
That's where the journey will end for so many that at the beginning of the year thought a championship was in their sights. Kurt Busch looking great out front now, being chased by Brad Keselowski. The gap a half a second between the two. 27 laps to go to get to the end of stage 2.
So Junior, we're acting like if Kevin Harvick can just get his track position, he can go win this race. Kurt Busch looks pretty good to me right now. It's going to be hard to get by Kurt Busch.
Kurt started back outside the top 10 and worked his way into the top 10 in stage 1, passing cars. I mean, that shows me that he has a great race car. He's obviously out in front leading this race. I think his car's as good as Kevin's. With Kevin's issues and that little bit of wear on that right front splitter, that won't really concern him, or he won't feel that on new tires. But as we run longer and longer and longer, that little deficiency of aero may cost that team a little bit of time on the racetrack. Marty.
And Junior, a lot of faith for Kevin Harvick in this race car. It's taken him to wins both here at Phoenix in the spring and New Hampshire in July. Maybe one of their best cars in their stable. Harvick right now in the 14th position, getting by Ryan Newman right there. And I sense from them guys a little bit of patience. I don't sense an urgency to get through the field. Yes, they have those fresher tires, but I just sense from the team, Tim Fiedel with the spotter, and Kevin in the radio, they're patiently making their way through the field more than anything else.
You see Kevin Harvick waving out the window to Ryan Newman. Man, what's up? I'm trying to go by you. You know I'm faster. You know,
Ryan, should he really be shocked?
That's Ryan Newman, man.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
he's used to that.
He's made comments about how difficult it is to pass Ryan Newman.
I tell you, there's a battle that I think is going to be waged here in the last 186 laps of this race, and it's between these two cars, the 4 of Kevin Harvick and the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. When I sit back and look at the points, the 78 is 12 points in, projecting out the race. Well, he's all the way back at 12. We're not projecting him to get any stage points. So as Kevin Harvick, every position he passes, it's a point. Well, once he gets to the top 10, it's almost 2 points because he's going to get a point at the end of the stage and at the end of the race. So the 70 of Martin Truex Jr., I know we talked at the top of the show, is just about kind of gobbling up some points, filling their bucket. Well, they have failed to do so. They missed points in stage 1, and with only 22 laps to go in stage 2, they're still looking at a 0 in stage points. That's a major mix. You flip that versus the 18, who you see as plus 30. That's really the difference. Success in the stages versus what the 78 has done.
Yeah, with 22 laps to go, can Harvick drive up into that top 10 and get those stage points, though? He's in 14th place right now.
That's going to be hard to do. That's a long way to go, and he's got some good cars.
3 seconds back with 22 laps.
How about these two guys having a good day? Alex Bowman, solid. We've seen him here before. I thought he was going to win this race a few years ago, in really good shape. Looked like he was going to win the race. Late race contact took him out. And then Austin Dillon, a guy who has struggled on short tracks, really not been very good on short tracks today.
They've actually
running ninth.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Austin Dillon's put together some great races, some great results for that team compared to where they were since they've won a Daytona 500.
Just a couple spots back, the 24 of William Byron, the young man in his rookie season in the Monster Energy Cup Series, looking very impressive on the rookie battle. The battle against the other rookies this season looks great there. I think there were a lot of high expectations coming into this season as to better performance out of William Byron.
I think there were expectations, but I think everyone would agree, even the group inside the Hendrick Motorsports, that William was moved up really probably too quick for his driving career, but it made sense on the business side. And then something just didn't seem to be gelling with his crew chief. I think him and Darian Grubb get along very well, but it's been well documented starting in 2019. He'll have the crew chief of his teammate, Jimmy Johnson. Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson splitting up. Currently a winless season for the 48. We talked about Denny Hamlin. Well, Jimmy Johnson has never gone a year without winning a race. And look, Parker, I mean, the 48 car is running 17th. I just can't remember a year where the 48 was just not involved in so many races.
I agree with you, Steve. And, you know, Dale Jr., I want to bring you in on this because I spoke to William Byron about what you said in practice when you were asked about his season, his rookie season. You said it was below average. I asked him, do you agree? And he said, yes, I actually do agree. This has been below average for us. You know, we just did not achieve what we wanted to. We didn't keep up with the 88 or the 48. And he said, you know, if he had done that this season, he would consider it successful. But winning in the rookie year is a nice little cherry on a season he didn't feel like he had done as well as he could.
Yeah, I mean, every driver comes in with, oh, we got a car in the fence, 14 car.
Clint Boyer into the wall.
Another left rear tire, it looks like. But that's very far into the run. It's wonder what's going on with these left rear tires.
Well, you have to wonder if that start, so if you start the race on low air pressure and the first thing you do is go from the banking to the flat to the banking down the dogleg, that will damage the side of that tire and it'll just create a little leak. And over time it loses air until it finally fails. You have to wonder if that's what happened on the 14 down the back straightaway here. Left rear tire goes flat. There's nothing the driver can do. So you guys talked about how the restarts have changed the racing. Well, they've also changed the abuse put on these Goodyear tires.
That is a helpless feeling for a driver to go down in the corner and you can't. There's nothing you can do to keep it out of the fence.
And Boyer, that is so fast. Boyer and his team had rallied. They were running 7th. Had made their car a lot better, and this is going to put an end to his bid to win a championship this year. Last few weeks, very disappointing to this team.
So you see the 14 coming to pit road. Pit road was still closed this time by, so we just talked about points, stage points, strategy. Well, this is what stage racing has done. What do you do? Rodney Childers is not here. Tony Gibson on top of the pit box is going to have to make a decision. The 4 of Kevin Harvick, 13th, having a nice recovery. But do you do something here? Do you do some strategy to gain some stage points? I think we're going to see the leaders pit here. And if they do, I'm Kevin Harvick. I'm considering staying out on the racetrack and trying to gobble up those 10 points, try to put a little in my bucket. If you're Martin Truex Jr., what is he going to do? He's having a bad day. Could he get a few stage points and maybe take some pressure off the final stage?
I was just watching Kevin Harvick before that caution. He ran the fastest lap of the field. So if he's doing that in 13th place, you put him out front, he's going to have enough race car to get plenty of stage points with only 15 laps to go.
But I think the speed of the 41 car may influence what Kevin Harvick needs to do. He might be in they might be now in we have to win mode versus pointing themselves in. If that's the case, do what the opposite of them.
I don't think they need to win. I wouldn't be racing the 41. I'd be racing the 78. I would do whatever the 41 doesn't do. I would try to gain points on the 78. I think that's the car they can eliminate.
That's the call, guys. The opposite of what the leaders do. So it looks like Kevin Harvick might stay out here because here come all the leaders on the pit road.
He is going to stay out. 19 cars on the lead lap. Parker.
And Chase Elliott still complaining about being tight and getting tighter. They're falling behind the racetrack for not making adjustments in that first stop. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel here on the 9 car and an air pressure adjustment. Dave?
Parker, crew chief Billy Scott told Kurt Busch it's going to be a catch-22 here. If we come, they'll all stay out. If we, somebody's going to stay out. If we stay out, others will come. So they'll come for 4 tires here and Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Kyle Busch says early in the run, I'm so loose, I feel like I'm burning the right rear tire off. But then at the end of the run, I'm way too tight. Adam Stevens electing an air pressure adjustment here, trying to balance those two things for Kyle Busch, who ran the top 10 that entire run.
And as they come off of pit road, the points already cycling through. The 14 of Clint Boyer into the wall, his championship hopes gone. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Phoenix. This telecast presented by USAA. Well, next week, NASCAR is going to crown all 3 series champions in Miami, and you can be there to witness it. Go to NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets for the championship weekend. Yes, the 41 on pit road. Steve, he broke the rules.
Absolutely. So it was even reminded again to the drivers this morning in the drivers meeting that you cannot pass the pace car on pit entry. The 41 of Kurt Busch hangs a left right here, the leader of the race. As he comes to pit road, you cannot pass the pace car. Look, he accelerates to the pit entry lane right there, clearly ahead of the pace car. We've seen Jimmy Johnson penalized for this. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. was penalized for this at this specific racetrack. This is something that they were just reminded this morning. Let's listen into the 41.
How am I supposed to stay behind it? Oh, it's on the entry part. They're talking about what the commitment box is on entry. The pace car speed is faster than pit road speed. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, he's frustrated. It's very simple. You saw him accelerate on the video. Why? There are some issues down here in the corner that perhaps if you run the right speed, you'll get in front of the pace car. They said, don't worry about that. What they warned them for is this specific thing. He accelerates to the line because you want to gap the guys behind you, right, Jeff? That's the goal as a driver. To try to, not to try to prevent. The rule is you can't pass the pace car. He clearly did it.
Yeah, something doesn't happen a whole lot because of the shape of most racetracks. You don't see it a lot, but at some racetracks you see it, Kelly.
And actually, the 78 now assumes the lead, but Cole Pearn had tried to call Martin Truex Jr. to pit road last second. It was too late. They're actually happy now that he stayed out, but he says he can't run the apron.
Field going through the Geico restart zone. It is Martin Truex Jr. And look at the 4. Kevin Harvick right behind him. Yes, he didn't come to pit road. They're going to try to utilize this strategy to see if they can gain points and get back into championship contention.
But Kyle Busch did come to pit road, and look at him on the bottom. He restarted about 9th place. Look at where he is already up to 4th, using that apron to get there. Battling for 3rd.
Going to take 3rd away from William Byron again on older tires. William Byron is fresh tires for Kyle Busch. Now he sets his sights on Harvick, trying to take 2nd away.
Guys, also the 88 and the 41, the 88 and the 20, they both had penalties as well on those pit stops.
What I think is shocking here is how much tires are worth. This is something we haven't seen at Phoenix, but it's clear they are helping the 18 of Kyle Busch tremendously. He easily drives around the 4 of Kevin Harvick, and he's going to set his sights on the 78 of Truex.
You saw him in the last lap. The 18 did not cut the apron. I think that's a smart move by these drivers, knowing what we know about these left rear tires, to try not to cut that apron if you can help it and hurt that left rear tire early in the run.
The concern now for these guys that did stay out, Kevin Harvick, if these new tires are better, are they going to catch you and take away those points? You may have stayed out for nothing if tires don't hold on here and you lose a lot of spots.
They only have to hold on for 8 more, now 7 more laps as Martin Truex Jr. still in front, but Kyle Busch gaining ground with every lap.
We talked about points and how it changes with the leader. Well, the one good news for someone like Kevin Harvick, look on the left side of your screen. With Martin Truex Jr. or Kyle Busch leading the race, they're both ahead of him in points. It doesn't affect the cut line. That penalty to the 41 could be a big issue as we get later in the race. That would hurt the Ford's attempt.
What a day for Kevin Harvick. Started on the pole, led the first 72 laps. There's the pass for the lead. Kyle Busch takes away the top spot. Martin Truex Jr. will fall back to 2nd. Harvick still holding on to 3rd, though, and a very eventful day it's been.
Well, that penalty from the 41 was a huge break for the 4 car, I believe. I think that completely changes their game.
We know that when the stage ends, the caution comes out, the 4 team will make his way back onto pit road. They'll get 4 fresh tires, and then their strategy changes compared to the other drivers that came in with 12 laps to go in this stage.
Drivers are going to have to be aggressive on these restarts. Let's look at Kyle Busch, who's leading the race. What he did, riding on the roof cam, cuts that apron, stays down there and just driving by guys, obviously making up a lot of ground there. Runs this apron down here in turns 1 and 2. Half throttle, just very easy on the throttle, try not to lose grip, try not to shove the nose or spin the tires, and there you are, all the way up to 4th place.
So, Junior, it's important to remind everybody that on those restarts, we see everybody hanging a left. You cannot go below that yellow line until you get to the start-finish line. Keep an eye on that as this race goes on.
And as a crew chief, Jeff, I'm taking mental note, because as we see Brad Keselowski getting by the 4 of Kevin Harvick, Look, don't fight him. He has fresher tires, going to fall back to 4th. That's still gaining points. I didn't think that the 18 of Kyle Busch was even in the picture, so I'm making some notes. We get some late race cautions, decision time on top of the pit box.
And you see on the left of your screen, as they run the points, the 4 of Kevin Harvick now above that cutoff line by 15 points based upon this huge move by staying out and trying to get stage points at the end of stage 2.
I'm just real curious to see where they come out. We know that when the caution comes out, they're going to pit. Some other people may stay out. How many spots is he going to give up on this next restart when they do come in to pit?
And again, every spot on the racetrack is worth a point. Martin Truex Jr. now under attack from the 2 of Keselowski as we see Kurt Busch after serving that penalty.
Well, and why that's so important, he's a lap down. He's racing, much like we said with Kevin Harvick earlier. He is trying to get to Chris Buescher in the 37. He's 3 or 4 cars in front of him with only 2 laps. I'm not sure he'll have time, but you see to the left of that little screen with the 41, the 37 is right there. He's so close. If he could get there, he could get the free pass.
That's what he needs to do. Kurt Busch trying to get up into the free pass position, but he's got a lot of traffic in front of him. Final lap of stage 2. Kyle Busch, after changing tires, coming to pit road, those 4 fresh tires, he has checked out. Brad Keselowski running second, but it'll be Kyle Busch who'll win stage 2 here at ISM Raceway.
And Harvick was able to hold Kyle Larson off with that 1 point.
Harvick ends up 4th, Larson 5th, then it's Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Aric Almirola, the top 10, all earning stage points. Kyle Busch, 6th stage win this year, and Kyle Busch looking strong at ISM. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by PNC. Make today the day. Toyota. Let's go places. Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. And by USAA. Insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community. Let's listen in to Kevin Harvick's radio.
Go, guys. Got us some points there. I didn't think that was going to happen. Yeah, we had to do something to try to knock a few of them our way here, so good job there.
like Tony Gibson right here. We got to knock a few points our way, because the question is this a points race or is it a must-win? Currently with the 18 leading, it's a points race. The 4 of Kevin Harvick needs points. It gets a little more complicated if the 9 or the 41 could lead, but now it's decision time. Who's going to come, who isn't? We just saw how valuable tires were in the 18. Kevin Harvick leads the majority of cars on the lead lap to pit road, Parker.
Chase Elliott comes down here into his stall. This might just be right side tires. He was too loose at the start of that run. You see the wedge adjustment there to help tighten the car up. We'll see if he sticks with just right sides. Yes, just right sides for the 9, Dave.
The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. is also on pit road. He said he thinks he might be pretty good actually on a long run, but he said I've got to be really low and really straight to be fast. It's 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Martin Truex Jr., Marty.
Erik Almirola said I was losing the entry too quickly into that run, and I need help in the center of the corner. Air pressure adjustment for that team. Right side tires only for his teammate Kevin Harvick. Going to be 4 tires for that team, and it's going to work out terrific for them with all the cars pretty much behind them coming to pit road. They're going to gain a ton of spots and those points that they just talked about.
Pretty decent stop there for the Ford team. Again, they took 4 tires, quite a few taking 2 tires only. Country music fans, Tuesday nights, you can't miss the new music competition show that's all about country. Shania Twain, Travis Tritt, and Jake Owen are searching for America's next country music superstars. Real Country, that premieres Tuesday at 10, 9 Central on USA Network. And actually, Jake Owen might be looking for talent right here because he's at the racetrack today. Rut.
Rick, here on this beautiful Veterans Day weekend, we have a real treat. Over here with William Byron in his pit box is Zach West. He's in the United States Air Force, stationed in Germany, 23 years old. He's from Phoenix. He's been gone for a year, home on leave. His mom entered a sweepstakes. That's how he was able to be here with her. You can see her in the shot, and his brother, too. But a really special thing for them to be here on this very special weekend, guys, from Phoenix. And he met William Byron this morning at the driver's meeting, and you can tell with this Bill Murray shirt, this guy likes to have fun. Really cool that he's here, guys.
William Byron actually a little bit younger than he is. If he's 23, William Byron only 20. So a couple of young guys there, but so appreciative of the veterans that are here in attendance today and, of course, all around the world.
All right, so Rick, stages, stage points, all these different things. We started the day saying we will send 4 guys with a chance to Miami to win a championship. Joey Logano, he's in. We know Kyle Busch not only is the race leader, but has a big bucket of points. I really like where he sits. But this is it. This is with all the stage points awarded where everyone sits. Martin Truex Jr. scored some points there. Nice recovery. Currently plus 29, running in the 9th position. Kevin Harvick in the 10th position, but only 5 points above Chase Elliott. And this is with Chase Elliott or the 41 not in the lead.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, he's going to get his lap back at some point. Right now, he's the first car 1 lap down. Once he gets that lap back, he's going to start eating cars up in front of him. He's going to start gaining points back. So pretty soon, we're going to have a 3-way battle for that last spot.
It's going to heat up.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that Harvick in 10th place is going to move forward as well. I predict he's going to move forward. That's going to make that tough for Kurt.
Man, make sure you got new batteries in the calculator. It's going to be a busy 155 laps.
Coming back up to the restart zone and underway with the final stage at ISM Raceway.
These restarts should get more and more aggressive as we're into this final stage. The intensity's building up for these guys.
Aric Almirola in the 10, all the way down on the apron. Another one of the drivers that has to win if he wants to advance to the championship 4.
Chase Elliott fighting for grip on that corner exit. Look at Denny Hamlin moving up into the top 3. He's been strong all day long, looking for his first win.
3 wide back here. See right there. 3 wide, Kevin Harvick.
Yep, Denny
on
passed
top.
Denny passed Blaney. Blaney's trying to pass him back. Seeing some crossover moves all weekend here.
Kyle Larson with a really good move back there. There's a lot of stuff happening here.
Side by side for
Matt
third.
Kenseth up here in 5th place, having a great run after that contact with Suarez early in the race.
Denny Hamlin, again trying to keep the streak alive of winning in every season. Has not won this year. As we see the 9 of Chase Elliott advance. Hamlin able to get by Ryan Blaney, so Denny Hamlin up to 3rd.
If the caution comes out, Kurt Busch is in position for the lucky dog.
These 2 guys have been going at it since the restart. Kevin Harvick's been on the outside of Martin Truex Jr. And both of these guys understand every point matters. Kevin had to fight hard to get by Martin Truex Jr. Finally cleared him. Look at the ground they gave up in front of him, though. Those guys battling hard. Now Harvick's got much further to go to run down the guys in front of him.
He has 151 laps to do it. And of course, there will be another pit stop that will take place prior to us seeing the checkered flag today. And earlier we saw Stewart-Haas Racing teammate Clint Boyer get into the wall, and he's out of the race. Marty caught up with him earlier.
Boyer wanted to end his championship run. What happened, Clint?
I guess we cut a left rear tire down. I don't know. I mean, cutting down on that apron deal, you know, back on the back straightaway is certainly not good on, you know, how we have to run these tires low like that. I don't know if that was the cause of it. Who knows? Just kind of the way our playoffs have been going. It's been up and down, emotional roller coaster, the whole playoffs. Been a great season for Mike, all my guys on his 14 car. It's been a lot of fun, ton of fun to go through battle, you know, each and every week all over the country with these guys. Stewart-Haas Racing's had a great year. We've won 2 races, all 4 cars winning races. You know what I mean? There's nothing to hang our hat on. Obviously, it's super bummed out. I felt like we were getting our car where it was competitive there. Our IT Savvy Ford was, you know, kind of marching up through them, starting 16th. I think we're running like 6th there. Starting to kind of get a smile on your face, you know, starting to grin and see the front and figure out what you have for a race car up there in clean air. And you know, I was waiting to get another caution there so we could adjust on it. And unfortunately, we were the damn caution.
So would you advise your teammates not to go low on those restarts then?
I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know if that was it. I may have run over something. It just, you know, I know I saw the 22 back in the fence back there. And, you know, after I had trouble with the left rear, I was thinking, you know, maybe that is it. I mean, you just spend a lot of time, you know, being off the racetrack. At the end of the day, this is about the only racetrack we go to where you race off the racetrack. But I don't want to sit here and be a whiner either. But it's a bummer to be over here. I don't want to be over here.
Sorry, Clint.
Thank you.
You saw Alex Bowman and Kevin Harvick battling for position, and Alex Bowman raced Kevin really hard for that position, continues to do so. You got to know that during the week, all of HMS got together and said, hey, you got to race hard, race these guys hard and try to keep that position. Alex trying to race hard to keep that 4 car behind so that helps out Chase Elliott.
Alex knew, though, it was inevitable. You saw Alex Bowman hand out the window, told Kevin Harvick, go to the inside, just way too fast to hold him back. So Alex wanted it, but understanding, just didn't have the speed, smartly just gave the spot up.
A little bit fresher tires for Kevin Harvick as he tries to continue to work his way up through the top 10. Steve mentioned this race is a sprint. Only 139 laps to go in this race to determine who the championship 4 will be in Miami next week to run for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Kevin Harvick has already made his way up to 7th, but out front, it's Kyle Busch. Let's go through the field. Marty.
Sitting pretty, Rick, right now, points-wise and out front in the lead for Kyle Busch, who told me we didn't practice well at all here in the spring and then went out in the race and led the most laps. We didn't practice well here yesterday either, and so far won a stage, leading 29 laps. Kyle Busch looking good, Parker.
And Marty right behind him. Brad Keselowski trying to play playoff spoiler here. You know, I talked to his crew chief, Paul Wolf, this morning. He said this track hasn't been great for us, so this weekend we showed up with an entirely different setup. Everything is different than we've run here before, and it seems to be really paying off right now, Marty.
Another non-playoff team, Team Penske driver Ryan Blaney in 3rd, right behind his teammate, and he told me before the race, this is by far one of my toughest racetracks, but we worked so hard to improve our short track program. Very encouraged the way they came into the race, and has to be encouraged with where they're running right now in 3rd, Kelly.
Denny Hamlin eliminated from the playoffs, and this 11 team really trying to end the season on a high note and end as high as possible in the drivers' points. Crew chief Mike Wheeler said it was a busier weekend than usual, trying to get the handling right on this 11 car, but they did it. Denny Hamlin pretty happy there in 4th, Parker.
And Kelly behind him. I believe Chase Elliott probably has the 2nd fastest car in this race right now, but he has to get better restarts. He's just not been able to get the restarts done. Eddie DeHaan, his spotter, has been trying to help him out, make the right decisions, but he keeps getting swamped. If he's going to win this race, he's got to find a better restart, Dave.
Parker, we saw the 42 car of Kyle Larson running up high earlier. No surprise there, but Chad Johnson told me this morning, if we're going to beat Kevin Harvick and the rest of this field, we've got to run well on the low line. They've been working on that this race, Marty.
Dave, we've talked a lot about leadership on this 4 team, and Kevin Harvick certainly showed that when the team arrived in Phoenix. He took everybody to dinner Thursday night. His message to the team, very simple. We must go out and win, but we must execute the plan that Rodney laid out. They have done that this weekend. Kevin Harvick working his way back up towards the top 5. His teammate Erik Jones, he is back in the 8th position. And Johnny Klossmeyer's crew chief told me this morning, he said, we're going to take some gambles today. They did that on the last stop with 2 tires. He's in 8th, Parker.
Behind him, Alex Bowman. If you remember a couple years back, Alex Bowman came here and had a tremendous run in that 88 car, filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He didn't get that win, and it still haunts him to today. He said, you know, earlier today he did not feel like they had that good a car, but they did wholesale changes overnight, and it seems to be working here, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. running 10th has yet to win in the postseason, but the team feels like they should have won at least 3 playoff races. As many as 5 they feel like got away from them. They know they don't need to win here today. Right now he's showing 28 points above the cutoff line, but they're going to have to get back to victory lane next week in Miami to get back-to-back championships, Dave.
Understandably getting penalized as a leader. Kurt Busch was upset.
For the record, sitting in a car, driving down pit road, you can't see over the wall to know. All I have to go off is holding my RPM. Sorry, guys. 35 races, just threw it away off of that.
So Kurt obviously knows that was his mistake. Earlier today, Billy Scott told me we have to be perfect today to win. They aren't right now, but they could be. It is not over for Kurt Busch.
Great job, guys, getting us through the field. Brought to you by KFC. Younger brother of Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, out front. He has now led 36 laps and has about a 0.6 of a second lead over Brad Keselowski. Remember, they came to pit road prior to the end of stage 2, so their tires a little bit older, but they've been able to hold off a driver like Ryan Blaney, who is currently running 3rd, who did come to pit road on lap 154 to get fresher tires.
We just heard that video, we heard that audio from the 41 car of Busch, and I'm going to tell you something. If he can get this lap back, right now he's in position, he's fast. He just went up and passed Alex Bowman in 9th position, passed Truex a lap before that. He has enough speed if he can get back in the lead lap with enough time to challenge for this win. Look at, he's driven away from these guys.
Let's look at Martin Truex Jr. here in his car.
Slow 97 way up here. You see him up high.
He is so frustrated with the balance of his car. He's sitting in 9th place, but they expect more out of themselves, and that's Martin goes down in the corner and the car pushes, all right? And that is so frustrating because you're basically at the limit of the grip of the car. You can only do what the front of the car will do. You can't go any faster. If you go faster, He just pushes worse. Kelly.
Well, Junior, it's not even just the handling of the 78 car, which I think they have gotten better, but Martin Truex Jr. a few times has been frustrated on the radio about how he's being raced out there on track. I haven't had the benefit of seeing which cars he's referring to, but on more than one occasion, he's come over pretty heated on the radio.
Welcome to running back there in 9th or 10th. It's not quite as polite as it is there for the lead, is it, Jeff?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's so much harder back in the pack. Martin Truex Jr. and this team, they're used to running in the front. They haven't had the speed today like you would expect them to have. And, you know, the guys that run, that don't have the fastest cars, that run 12, 13, 14, 15, they'll tell you how much harder it is. It is a dogfight back there.
And if this continues, this run continues for Kyle Busch, he could put, for example, the next person that is on the lead lap, Bubba Wallace, a lap down. The second he starts putting more cars a lap down, that eliminates the possibility of Kurt Busch being in that free pass position.
Yeah, Jeff said it best. It's time, right? Running out of time, Junior.
Well, I was looking at that, and he's got quite a bit of time before he'll catch Bubba Wallace. Not quite a half a racetrack.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Long way ahead.
I'm more concerned about 126 laps to go, right? He has to have time to recover once he gets back in the lead. I mean, look at Kevin Harvick. He's still back in 7th position. Has a decent race car, but he just hasn't been able to move up. You see that he's closing in on the group in front of him, but it's just a hard racetrack to get through traffic.
Yeah, even a dominant car like the 4 car has been this weekend, you put them in traffic and it takes a little bit out of their sails. Makes that dirty air is just tough around this racetrack. It's a one groove track.
And he's cut the deficit to Kyle Busch. He started, you know, he's gaining on Kyle, but he still has, you know, 6 cars to go through before he ever got there. So that whole group has kind of gotten together where Kyle's leading and 2's right behind him, and the 4 is pulling them all to the front, but still a lot of cars to go through.
You know, Jeff, but there's a few other things. When you look at the last lap where these guys pit, Marty, I look at Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski. I think they need 2 more pit stops to make it on fuel versus someone like Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, maybe only 1 more stop.
Yeah, those are the top 3 cars that pitted at lap 154, Steve, so they are in a bit of an advantage there. Harvick said on the run before that they kind of took away the turn he needed in the car, so they made an air pressure adjustment on this run, trying to make it a little bit better. That's making the car a little bit too tight, especially sitting on the corner. Kevin Harvick saying right now it gets tighter the longer he runs.
That splitter you talked about, Junior, I wonder if it's starting to finally hurt that 4 car, Rick.
You're not going to miss a moment or lap of the action as we're going to go NASCAR nonstop. But first, Jake Owen is going to take us to break.
7 drivers fighting for just 3 open seats. That drama on this redesigned track could be insane.
Hold on tight, cause it's gonna be wilder than any 8-second ride.
How many points can you gobble up in the first and the second stage?
Winning stage 1, Chase Elliott.
Hold on tight, cause it's gonna be wilder than any 8-second ride.
Final lap of stage 2. Kyle Busch will win stage 2 here at ISM Raceway. It's Monster Energy Cup Series Racing from Phoenix. Is telecast presented by USAA. NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. You can watch throughout the broadcast, select alternate camera angles, or ride along with in-car video of your favorite drivers. Never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive.
Rick, 116 laps to go in this final stage, riding on board with Kyle Busch, the Toyota onboard camera, looking out the rear bumper. Making it look pretty simple, but look to the left. I think this could be the story here. Last pit, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, great strategy. He's got them the track position. But from lap 136 to the finish of lap 312, that's just under 90 laps on 2 tanks of gas. I don't think they can do that. So that might be 2-stop window for Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, as well as Denny Hamlin, where I think Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Larson, and Harvick, all those guys, they could definitely make it only 1 stop. Still a long way to go, but if it goes green, we'll have to keep that in mind.
18 lap difference between Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski. Those guys came at 136, and then Blaney, Elliott 130 or 154. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, all on that same strategy.
Talking about Chase Elliott, he's moving into 3rd place right here. He's showing some great speed on the long run, and if this race does go green the rest of the way, he just passed the 12-car Blaney to put himself in 3rd. He's got a big gap right now, clean air all the way up to the 2-car Keselowski. That's going to allow him to put together some great laps, put some distance between him and all these guys on the same pit strategy, tire strategy behind him. So if it goes green, Chase Elliott may be in the best position to win this race.
Chase Elliott coming into this season, a lot of questions. When will he get to victory lane? Well, he finally broke through that ceiling and was able to get his first win at Watkins Glen, and then a couple wins to tag onto that afterwards. Matter of fact, one in the last stage to guarantee a spot into this round of 8. Parker.
Well, guys, we have to point out Matt Kenseth. You saw in the top 10 earlier after having that run-in with Daniel Suarez. You know, he's the defending race winner from here last year. We won inside that 20-car Joe Gibbs Racing in what could have been maybe his final season in the sport. Then he got the opportunity to come back and do a partial schedule in the 6th, but I spoke to him this morning, and we might be watching his actual last race at Phoenix. He told me he has no plans to race next year. Even if he was running better than they have in that 6th car, he's not sure he would have wanted to race next year. So we're watching this champion go out here at Phoenix.
You mentioned Chase Elliott. He just got by the 12-car of Blaney, and then behind him is Hamlin and Larson, Harvick and Almirola. This battle has gotten heated up. Hamlin's kind of backing up a little bit to Larson. Harvick will pull up to Larson and then can't get it done. Almirola's pulled up to Harvick, and now he's dropped back a little bit. It's been interesting to watch this 4 or 5-car battle. They'll get all bunched up, then they all get separated again.
Drivers, how much can you feel 18 laps of less tires? Because that's what that differing strategy here with these teams. Can you feel 18 laps less?
You can on new tires. Like if you have new tires and another guy's got 18 lap tires, there you can take advantage of that guy on the older tires. But 20, 30, 40, the further you get into the run, it sort of equalizes. And that advantage goes away the longer you go into the tire run.
I think it's important to remember Chase Elliott did 2 tires here. So Chase Elliott's on 2 tires. Hamlin's on 4, Larson's on 4, Harvick's on 4. So that 2-tire strategy gave him a little bit of pit position, track position, and it doesn't seem to have hurt his speed.
Not at all.
Kyle Busch still out front. Keselowski is 0.7 of a second behind him. We mentioned Chase Elliott and the run he is making, moving up, actually had the fastest lap that last time by. Then it's Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, all in the top 5. Larson, Harvick, Almirola, Truex Jr., and William Byron all inside the top 10.
Great run for William Byron back there in 10th.
When would we expect the front runners to have to come to pit road? Lap 136, they were on pit road for fuel and tires. When do we see or expect to see them back on pit road?
Well, they have 11 laps of caution, so that will help them out a little bit. But you expect 136, and they can go 82 laps or so. So that would be 218 under green. That's about 14 more laps. With those yellows, maybe a little bit longer, 216, 218. But I think what's in the mind of everybody is we've seen some left rear tires go down. We saw Kevin Harvick had a right front. So can these Goodyear tires run an entire fuel run? That's going to be a big test as we start to close in on pit stops.
And Steve, you got the top 2 cars at least as you watch Chase Elliott there that pitted at lap 136. He pitted at lap 154. Checked in with a number of crew chiefs. They think that the teams that pitted at 136, you're right, Steve, will be coming in about 10 to 12 laps, and it will be extremely tight for them to make it from there to the end of the race. That most teams think they could not do that. The other cars are fine. They pitted at lap 154. The next time they stop, they'll be good to go to the end for sure, and good for overtime if that's the case today.
Think about that, Rick. Your entire playoff hopes could be dashed because of an untimely caution during pit stops. There's that much pressure in this format as we see the 41 of Kurt Busch, a lap down, continues to march through the field. I mean, he's passing the 8th place car, guys. The 8th place car.
He's flying. He's going to have a caution quick, though. He's running out of time, but he is absolutely flying, going NASCAR nonstop.
Just under 100 laps remaining in the Can-Am 500 from ISM Raceway. Today's aero coverage provided by Coca-Cola, giving us a great shot of this beautiful facility here in Avondale, Arizona. 3 drivers right now that are on the outside looking in. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Aric Almirola, of course, Clint Boyer out of the race. He is no longer a part of the championship picture, but Chase Elliott just 6 points back as they run, and he's running in 3rd. We mentioned every position is a point. Well, Kevin Harvick, who is currently in, is running 7th. Now, if he loses spots, Chase Elliott gains a couple. That's the difference in making the championship or not making the championship.
Or more importantly, if Chase Elliott takes the race lead, because he's 3rd but closing in on these leaders, guys.
The 18's catching the 43. That's not good for Kurt Busch as we cycle and cycle more and more laps, and the 18 starts to put more cars a lap down. That takes that opportunity for Kurt Busch to get that wave around, get that lucky dog away, and basically takes away his opportunity to make up any more points as this race goes further.
There's that gap. You see the 43 of Bubba Wallace, and just behind him, the 18 of Kyle Busch. The second that Kyle Busch passes the 18, if a caution comes out, then the 7 or the 43 would be the free pass recipient and not the 41 of Kurt Busch.
Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski are closing in on pit stops very quickly. They've run 81 total laps, 70 under green. They got to be under 10 laps before coming to pit road.
Look behind that 2 car, though. Coming fast is Chase Elliott. He was 3 seconds back. He's down to 1 second behind that 18 car.
And we talked about at the top of the show, Alan Gustafson on top of the pit box. He's one here with Mark Martin, one here with Kyle Busch, one here with Jeff Gordon. There's something about this racetrack that it changes throughout the day. We've heard everybody's handling, going through cycles. He knows what this track does, seems to make great adjustments. Chase Elliott was strong early, seems to be strong again.
Chase Elliott found out that at Dawsonville in the pool hall, they know when a Elliott wins, they will once again ring the siren there at the pool hall. He's done it 3 times already this year, Parker.
And guys, the long run has been his strength inside that 9 car. Aside from that one run where they got too loose, he's been really good on the long run, especially late at the end of the run, as we're seeing here. For whatever reason, I looked at his right front. I actually looked at the temperatures inside the wheel, and they were barely registering. He's been doing a great job of keeping heat out of the right front of that race car, and it's really paying off the long run.
You said it earlier today, Steve. Every position that he gets inside the top 10 is 2 points. So passing this 2 car, passing that 18 car, would go a long way to helping him catch Kevin Harvick. He's the only 6 points out.
More importantly, if he wins, doesn't matter. Points don't matter anymore for the 9 car because winning moves you forward. He has a car fast enough to win with.
And a reminder, after this race, points don't matter for the championship 4. They will start the race in Miami, and whoever finishes in front of the other 3 competitors for that championship 4 will be the champion. 93 laps to go, and closing in now on green flag pit stops, especially for Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, all drivers that are up in the top 5 that came to pit road on lap 136.
See the 9 underneath the 2. I don't think Brad's going to be able to put up much of a fight right here. He knows Chase is much faster.
You guys mentioned there's the 43 of Darrell Wallace Jr. a lap down.
That takes Kurt Busch out of the free pass position if a caution were to come out. Kelly.
Denny Hamlin, who spent most of this race inside the top 5, coming to pit road. He has a flat right front. They believe he had twice in this race has had shaking in the right front, and they've managed to keep him out until a stage break the first time around. They were trying to do the same here, get inside their fuel window, had to call him to pit road.
That makes me nervous for everybody else. We've not had a long run without a tire problem. Who's going to be the next one?
And will it bring out a caution?
Yeah, and will the 18 have already pitted when it happened? I mean, this is going to be, this next 10 or 15 laps is a focal point in this race. The 18 will have to come to pit road much earlier than the 9 of Chase Elliott, who I believe is going to pass him on the racetrack. Will the 18 be fortunate enough for it to stay green before the next wave of cars come?
Remember, the guy we've talked about all day long, Kevin Harvick, he had a tire problem at the end of stage 1. We're getting to that point now. They've gone this far again. If I'm the crew chief of that car, I'm getting really nervous. But he can't really pit right now, though, can he, Steve?
No, he can't pit right now. And more importantly for the 4 of Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott in the 9. Look at the left side. Take a screenshot. The leader, 18. Everything's good. Harvick's in by 7 points. About 2 more sets of corners when Chase Elliott passes this 18 right here through the dogleg. He'll become the leader, and Kevin Harvick will be eliminated from the playoffs.
It will change the points as they run. The second that Chase Elliott goes up and takes the lead, which he now is the leader.
Take it
Watch
up,
how it
take it,
changes.
take it.
The 78 now, 20 points ahead of 4 Kevin Harvick.
Well, the problem for Kevin Harvick in the 5th position, there's not 20 points available unless Martin Truex Jr. falls back. So, and Martin Truex Jr. is in the 8th position, so a problem would absolutely, perhaps could eliminate the 78 still, but it's not like he can go past 20 cars.
And this means that Kevin Harvick has to make sure he's able to pass the 9, Chase Elliott, for the race win. Kevin Harvick has to right now think that he has to get by the 9 of Chase Elliott for the win.
18 car coming to pit road.
So now Kyle Busch running second, comes to pit road and headed in your direction, Marty.
You heard Tony Hirschman, his spotter, one of our pit crew all-stars this week, telling him don't push your lights, meaning take it easy on pit road, don't speed here. A penalty right now would be very costly for anyone who gets one. Kyle led every lap of that stage until the 9 car came down, got past him on pit road. Kyle coming into his stall said, I just need more front overall turn. Also Erik Jones coming to his stall as well. He said very loose to get going in that 10 car. Critical green flag stops here at Phoenix. I could decide who might win this race. Clean stop for the 18 bunch.
4 of Kevin Harvick has also decided to come to pit road a little bit earlier than expected. Marty?
Yes, a little bit earlier for the 4 car. You kind of saw the 18 car kind of stumble as he left his stall as well. Kevin Harvick coming down pit road and a spin on the racetrack, Rick.
And will it bring out the caution?
I think it's going to have to unless he can somehow get going. Look at that. Does a nice job.
And the caution will come out.
Here.
So the 97 of Tanner Berryhill brings the caution out. They were on pit road, so the 4 car is going to continue with their service.
Finishing that stop, Tony Gibson said, let's finish the stop. They did it 4 Goodyear tires for Kevin Harvick. Said, I just need more late rotation in the corner. We'll see how all this cycles out with the caution coming out while they were on pit road.
Oh, that is going to catch the 4 lap down. He'll be able to take the wave around, but track position will definitely be hurt. But what a break for Chase Elliott. A huge break for Chase Elliott.
So, Steve, I don't know if it makes a difference, but it looks as though on our scoring monitor, Harvick might be the first car scored a lap down. It's all shaking up now.
You're going to have to let it completely score around. The way the field freezes, our monitor only picks everybody up at the start-finish. Here's the 97 up the racetrack. A big slide right here for Berryhill. He tries to save it, and now at this point, it looks like he might be off the racetrack. But remember, we're in the middle of green flag pit stops. People run below the yellow line. That is really on the groove of turns 3 and 4. And then right here where he has to take a left, that's it. That forces NASCAR to throw yellow. And it's just a huge, huge, huge break for Chase Elliott. Now we're going to have to let scoring cycle around. I actually think it's going to be a battle between Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick, who's going to get the free pass. But it doesn't matter because Kevin Harvick's going to take the wave around anyway. So he's going to be back on the lead lap just at the back of the field.
As they went by the last time, there were 11 cars that were scored on the lead lap. Again, right in the middle of green flag pit stops is when Tanner Berryhill spun around, brought the caution out. That freezes the field. So once the caution comes out, wherever you are running at that time, freezes the field. So now NASCAR is going to put everyone in position before they open pit road.
So they've done that, and the 41 will get the free pass. So he was the car 1 lap down. So think about this. Kevin Harvick was about the 5th or 6th position. He peels off to come to pit road. Chase Elliott stays on the racetrack. This pit road is 400 feet longer than it used to be. Extremely long. He has to run from basically the exit of turn 2 all the way around to the exit of turn 4. And because the leader had passed him while he was on pit road, that puts him a lap down, as now we expect all the lead lap cars to pit. Chase Elliott's going to lead them, the first car on pit road.
Parker.
And they told him to not pass the pace car like Kurt Busch. He said, you know, the freeness inside the car hurts me at the beginning of the run. Oh, looks a little slow on the right front there, but it helps me on the long run. So not many adjustments here on the 9. It'll be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 78, he's talked about a wheel hop on the left rear a couple of times that last run. You see the wrench there in the car. They're going to make a chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel, Rick.
And now everyone that has come to pit road under this most recent caution should have enough fuel to make it all the way to the end, as long as the caution doesn't come out. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Phoenix. And once again, the playoff pressure has stricken. The 9 of Chase Elliott speeding on pit road, so he will have to serve that penalty.
That's a huge penalty. He's going to have to go to the very end of the line with only 79 laps to go. It's a huge advantage to Harvick.
Going to be a lot of waiver rounds and put a lot of guys back on the lead lap, and he'll have to be behind all of those cars.
We need to check that. That's the one question mark I'm wondering here. I believe the waiver rounds will be behind the penalty cars. We'll have to double check that, Parker, as we see them line up.
Guys, he came across radio and said he just bounced in the red like normal, but obviously that was too fast, so he'll back it down for next time.
Yeah, and that's the problem, Parker, right? You could be 1/100th below all day long, and you have no idea, right? So if it bounces one more time. So we got in right here. So to clear it up again, you're right. Exactly right, Dale. So we're going to have everybody who's on the lead lap. Then we're going to have the lap down cars. Then we're going to have the wave around cars. And then behind all of them will be the penalty cars, and that will include the 9 of Chase Elliott. Rutledge.
You know what, guys? They've made so many improvements down here to the track, but one of the greatest ones is Victory Lane. Now fans with a pass can use that new infield tunnel to get down here and get right here at Victory Lane. They opened the gates a few minutes ago. It was like the running of the bulls, but how cool would this be to be down here in Victory Lane watching a race, guys?
And now the question is, who's going to be there in 78 laps? Because that's all that's left in this race. 78 laps to determine who will win at this race and who will be the championship for.
Well, look who's leading the race. You got 2 guys not even in the playoffs.
Brad Keselowski leading.
So now really, you just talked about it, Dale. As we come around here, it'll be interesting to see if the pace car can even pull off this time, because we have so many wave around cars that, you know, we got to make sure we get everybody in the right position. Looks like the pace car will pull off.
And it gets a little confusing because some cars will slow down and let people intentionally pass. They don't want to. They don't want to be there.
The car on the inside, there's Matt Kenseth. He thought he was a wave around car, but not eligible. He'll have to get behind this group of guys.
So here you go. You have the front row cars with Penske. Look all the way back at the right of your screen, the 41 of Kurt Busch.
But the 9 already is in front of quite a few cars that are still trying to get up in position to be in front of him.
He's letting him go. He's got to let those wave around cars go, or he'll be under penalty again.
Through the restart zone. Back into action. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney. They were 1 and 2 in the front row. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. moves up to second. 3 wide behind him for 4th. Little contact made.
Ryan Newman on the inside of William Byron getting a little bit loose there. That's going to cost Ryan Newman some speed. Here comes Larson on the inside. Look at Blaney in the 20 of Erik Jones being pretty aggressive there. Erik Jones is working his way through this group of guys on this restart. Got some great speed in his car. Oh, Blaney's got problems.
Blaney down to the bottom of the racetrack.
And look at the points between the 4 and the 41 right now. Only 1 point separating them.
Ryan Blaney way off the pace. Looks as though he's going to make his way back to pit road. Something wrong with the 12. The 4 of Kevin Harvick fighting for every spot now because every position is a point. And right now only 1 point to the good.
That's the guy right there, right in front of him.
We talked about this. 2 Stewart-Haas racing teammates racing for points. Let's not forget Chicago coming to that finish of the stage, and Kevin Harvick jumps to the outside of Kurt Busch and steals a point away.
And also, let's don't forget how fast that 41 car has been. He ran Harvick down from a long way back a little bit ago. Now Harvick underneath him.
Here comes the 18 as well of Kyle Busch. These 2 right now racing for their championship hopes. They stay side by side. Harvick on the apron again.
We're in the Ryan Blaney lost water in the car, overheating. Look at Kurt Busch. You think he's getting the information about the points right now? That kind of move right there tells me he is. He knows how important it is to keep.
Oh, Harvick has to check up. He catches the 38. The 38 spins. And the caution will come out again. Harvick, impatient. The 38 not moving. David Reagan. And he just got in the back of him.
Well, and this is going to make for chaos because now the 9 who was at the back of the field, all these players, not physical, not positions as far as where they were scored, but actual track position, they were way in the back. Now the 4s kind of let the 9 back in the game. This is going to be 73 laps to remember right here, Rick. And it's going to be a major battle to go to Miami.
this really wasn't a caution that Harvick wanted. You said it. This caution in the back of Reagan, you heard Harvick say he just stopped, but that caution, as you just said, that allowed Chase is going to allow Chase Elliott to catch up.
Easy, up. Good. Yellow.
So Harvick just misjudged the speed of the 38, got in the back of him.
And Harvick had the pressure of the 18 that was on his outside coming up to pass him. Didn't want to give up that spot.
18 and 11 to pit road.
A little surprising. I didn't think anybody would come. But I guess if you're the 18 of Kyle Busch, put some fresh tires on. You have so many points to play with. You don't want to have a tire failure, flat tire. Marty.
You see Kyle Busch coming down pit road. He came from the top 5 position. He said, I don't know what to tell you to get the car to help it, but we certainly need a little bit of help. He's been loose early in runs, tight at the end of the runs for Kyle Busch, coming in with 72 to go. You got to wonder if these fresh tires, although they're only about 4 laps fresher than the other guys, he is here on pit road.
That's a couple more spots for Chase Elliott, who stayed out on the racetrack. Moves Chase up to 14th.
And Steve, I think your point on this car, you know, we've seen tire failures. This is about that. I think this is about making sure you're putting new tires on this race car, not having any kind of problems. They can finish the first car. They can finish on a lead lap, and they're going to Miami with a chance. So just be smart here. Understand your situation.
Great race management. Don't get caught up in the action, right? Make sure you understand what it needs for your team to move forward,
And
Marty.
it gets you away from Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick. It keeps you away from that battle.
And guys, Kyle came down pit road because they do have a little bit of left front damage. They wanted to make sure that they got that buttoned up. And Adam Stevens saying, hey, we can't really gain any spots here. So they're putting some bare bond on that left front damage and just making sure that it's okay. Was not significant damage, to make sure we point that out, but they just want to make sure they clean that up before the end of the race here.
Man, oh man.
70 to go.
I have anxiety for all these guys, and I'm not even in the race.
There's Martin Truex Jr. He's been complaining about his car all day, sitting there in second now.
Well, Jeff, we have this anxiety because let's remind everyone, right? This started in February. This started when the trucks left for Daytona in February with the hopes and the dreams that you could win a race, that you could go to Miami and race for a championship. Everybody you talk to, they don't say they want to be champion. Everyone says clean up in the 12 box.
Well, and this is right in front of Kevin Harvick's pit stall, so the Ford team was over there helping as well, saying, hey, guys, I want to make sure that this is clean when he comes in.
But, you know, think about this. Everyone just says they want to go to Miami with a chance to win the championship, right, Jeff? It comes down to one race. So all of these decisions, the penalty on the 9, all of this stuff, 35 weeks in the making, right?
Yeah, well, next Sunday on NBC, a champion will be crowned in the Monster Energy Cup Series. That race coverage from Miami begins at 3 p.m. Eastern. We still don't know who the 4 will be. The one driver, Joey Logano, locked in. He's self-proclaiming himself the favorite, but you never know who will join him at Miami. Let's get a few updates before the green flag comes back out. We go with Parker.
And Steve said it, this caution was a big help for Chase Elliott track position-wise. He'll be restarting in 13th, and that car has been great on the long run, struggling on the short run, and especially on restarts. If he wants to continue to fight for this championship, he is going to have to get one of the best restarts of his life, Kelly.
Well, the point situation has been a roller coaster ride for this 78 team, but now Martin Truex Jr. restarting on the front row knows exactly what he needs to do.
Obviously, super duper safe here. Just need to be smart here. Make it to the finish.
And now Cole Pern followed that up with, we just got to finish on the lead lap. We'll be fine, Dave.
Kelly, just over 100 laps ago, Kurt Busch was laps down and penalized. Now he is back, and he has a car that can win the race. Remember, he holds a tiebreaker over Kevin Harvick if they tie at the end. Marty?
Kevin Harvick sitting in 9th, could be racing his teammate Kurt Busch for a playoff spot. But remember, Harvick does not have to win. Right now, he is above the cut line. As long as he stays where he is and no other driver below the cut line gets that lead, Rick, he's in good shape.
And Rick, they're the players. Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott. Kevin Harvick on the inside row. Watch him on the restart. I expect him to take a hard left, try to make up positions.
They fan out, going through the dog leg. 3, 4, 5 wide. Then into a narrow funnel of turn number 1. Harvick all the way down on the apron.
He's on the inside of Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch trying to get on the inside of Jamie Murray up here. Jamie's going to block. Wonder what Kurt's going to do down into turn three. Turn three, here he goes. He sends it on the inside of that one car.
He's got to send it in there. He doesn't have time to play. He's got to go. He's going to be real aggressive. Now he's underneath the 31 of Newman.
Very aggressive moves.
That position's huge. Harvick back there, he is under attack from Almirola. He did not get a good launch on that restart. He wasn't really in attack position because of that launch. He had to defend.
Kurt Busch driving up on 3 wide here. Another opportunity. If he can get by this Newman car. Newman's being Newman. Boy, look at this. Send it down in there, Kurt. There he goes. Uses a little bit of apron right there. If he can clear Newman, which is really tough, you can see it right here. Newman fighting hard.
Newman fights back on the outside. Kurt Busch still trying to clear him. Can't do it as they go into 1.
If Kurt could have cleared him, those guys in front were 3 wide. That was an opportunity for him to grab another spot easily. But now that they're all sorted out in single file, it's going to be tough. He'll have to pick them off one at a time.
66 laps to go. And now the 41 and the 4, as you see on the left, tied in points. Tiebreaker is the best finish by either one of the drivers in this round. So the tiebreaker right now would go to the 41.
Harvick's going to have to get aggressive right here as these two here, McMurray and Newman, battling side by side. Can Harvick get aggressive, get these positions? He's going to need them as Kurt Busch is starting to move forward.
He is going to need them. Kurt Busch is moving forward, and Kurt Busch with a fast race car. You have to assume Kurt Busch is going to go up and get more race cars. He's been fast all day, and you got the 18 and the 9 coming behind you. They're both fast cars. The 41 has separated themselves from those two guys. Harvick has not.
And Jeff, we're focusing on these playoff cars, but 3 non-playoff drivers, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Erik Jones, are 1, 2, 3, basically around 1 second between each car.
There you go. Harvick cleared Newman. Now he needs Newman to hold these guys up from behind. You see the 9 and the 18 right there. We know they're fast race cars.
I mentioned the tiebreaker. Last week when Kevin Harvick won the race, that race will not count. That finish doesn't count in the tiebreaker, but the best finish that Kurt Busch has is a 6th and a 7th. So if Kevin Harvick is able to clear the 41 and get up to 5th, then he would have the advantage of the tiebreaker if they are tied at the end of this race. The battle continues. Again, Keselowski is leading, but the fight for the 4th spot in the championship continues as we go NASCAR nonstop. Monster Energy Cup Series Racing. It's telecast presented by USAA. And want to look at today's Ram trucks proven to last.
Playoff pressure. You only got 56 laps to go, a chance to win a championship right now. Who is going to fold and who's going to take advantage?
And restarts, if we get any more yellows, them restarts down into turn one, we've seen it all day long. Those cars going 3, 4, 5 wide. Guys getting taken advantage of. That's going to be critical late.
Well, if you talk restarts, Junior, that means there might be yellows, and I got pressure. Should we pit? Should we take tires? We watched Kyle Busch win a stage earlier, Rick, with the restart of his life, took those tires right to the front. So with 55 to go, if it's under green, nobody's going to pit, but with a yellow, decisions are going to have to be made.
And this battle continues between these two, and you see how close the points are. 2 points separating the 41 and the 4 as far as the position to advance to the championship 4 in Miami.
Kurt Busch had more speed than this on the run before. Just doesn't seem to have the car that he had earlier when he was a lap down trying to race to get that lucky dog, get that wave around. So he's closing in on this 24, but it's going to get tougher and tougher the closer he gets to that dirty air. Marty.
Everybody bunching together here in this top 8, including Kevin Harvick, seeing that 18 grow a little bit bigger in his rearview mirror. They have the car a little bit better for Harvick. They would love to get by his teammate of Kurt Busch and put some distance between them and the 18. But these guys really, from 4th on back, just kind of packing together. Look how close that battle's getting, guys.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I think if William Byron can put some pressure on Martin Truex Jr., Martin will get out of the way. He cannot afford to race. So right now, William needs to push that issue. Get to that left rear quarter pound. Give him a little nudge. He'll give it to you. He cannot afford to wreck.
Yeah, he's looking on the inside there. He's definitely got the faster car. But while this is happening, it's allowed Kurt Busch to climb in here and see if he can get part of this, see if he can get by these guys quickly.
And that 18 car you just heard Marty say is getting bigger in the mirror of that 4 car. That is not what Harvick wants to see. If he were to get by Harvick and then the 41 get by the 24, we got a whole different point situation. Right now, Harvick only 2 to the good.
Beginning of this race, the phrase morals will be tested was thrown out there. Now, as we get down to the final 52 laps, morals are definitely going to be tested because Kevin Harvick has to get by and be in front of Kurt Busch in the points.
Well, yeah.
And he's right now behind him, but the 2 points separating the two is way too close for Kevin Harvick.
Way too close. And listen, why we talk about that playoff battle, let's not forget some other playoff drivers that have been eliminated. They're no longer eligible. They're at the front of this field. Brad Keselowski in the 2 car, leading currently by a little over 1 second over the 42 of Kyle Larson, who has about 2 seconds over the 3rd place running Erik Jones in the 20. And then we mentioned it a minute ago, you have Truex in 4th, but how about William Byron? Has not won a race, but when you talk about learning and experience, this is some experience right here. Playoff battle, the pressure of the playoff cars around you, but he is holding his own in that 24 car, running in 5th. Oh,
hard
my
into
goodness.
the wall, the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Fire underneath that car.
He's up against the top of the fence up there. Caution is out.
It's like another left rear flat.
He's already got the window net down, trying to unstrap himself.
I swear, I think Clint Boyer said it best, that maybe, you know, these guys diving down onto that apron through that dog leg is doing some damage to these tires.
That's a big impact. Look at the damage on that car.
A little bit of fluid coming out as the safety crew gets to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Here's what happened.
He's going to come in the picture already backwards.
Wow. Man, I don't know. It's like he didn't even have any brakes. It was going so fast.
Hard hit.
That's a huge hit.
I don't know if the tire went down and took the brake line off. I mean, that thing was screaming fast.
Yeah, if the tire failed right on corner entry, it would just be no way to get the car slowed down.
Wow.
Watch how quick the window net comes down. He knows that car's on fire. He's getting himself ready to get out.
The fuel cell's in the back of the car, and there's now a rubber bladder that, so in an instance like this where an impact like that, they want to make sure the fuel stays inside that fuel cell.
Yeah, but that one hit hard enough. It might even got to the oil tank. A truck arm can go through an oil tank. It looks like oil running down the banking.
So now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah,
now
what?
Now what are you, my driver? You're asking me what I'm supposed to do.
I'm going to do what you tell me to do.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for you to tell me.
Well, think about this. We saw 2 tires work for Chase Elliott earlier. We saw 4 tires on Kyle Busch drive right to the front. These leaders have 23, 24 laps on their tires.
I think it's easy for Chase Elliott. Do what they don't.
I agree.
Right? He's got him in a must-win situation.
I agree.
He's got to do what they don't.
What do you do if you're Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick, though? Right? That's the decision.
it's so close. You almost want to do whatever the guy you're racing does and just, you know, put yourself in position to race him, but it's impossible to tell what the right thing to do.
But what about the tire issue?
Here
I
we
mean,
go.
right now, you have a tire question in your mind.
Look at Kurt Busch.
41 stayed out, 4 pitted. Wow.
Big move by the 41.
That's the answer to the strategy. Parker.
Chase Elliott pits out of the 9th position. It's just going to be right side tires here on the 9, trying to make a play for track position here. Should be added tape too, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. said he's still loose in some areas, but after the last adjustment, he got tight across the center quicker. They're going back on a wedge adjustment. It will be 4 tires for the 78. Marty.
Kyle Busch coming down pit road, and the last-minute call here. A lot of these guys are going to switch from 4 to 2 tires with all these guys coming and taking 2 tires. Kevin Harvick, see on the left side of the screen, he said, I need the car to help turn more in the center, especially late in the corner. Kyle Busch opting with 4 tires. This is going to be a fun duel, guys.
And a few taking 2 tires, different strategy of those coming off of pit road. And remember, the 41 stayed out on the track. Post-race coverage here on NBC from 5:30 to 6. Then you can switch over to NBCSN at 6 o'clock for extended post-race coverage, victory lap, and proving grounds with Parker Kligerman. They are continuing to clean up around the 17, and because it's going to be extensive, the red flag has just been displayed, so the cars will stop on the racetrack. And again, differing strategies for these drivers. The 41 of Kurt Busch stayed out on the racetrack, Dave.
Nerve-wracking decisions these crew chiefs have to make. Listen to the radio.
My gut says pit. That's what I'm thinking. The only thing I was considered not was if they all pit, then we can try to stay out there. I'll leave it up to you if there's a split decision up there, but planning to pit, 4 tires and fuel, half out left rear.
So there it was. Kurt's gut said pit, but they left it up to him if it was a split decision, which it was a little bit at the front. Steve, here's the other problem. They now have let those well-used tires cool down under this red. They were very upset when the red came out. Obviously, they have to, for safety's sake, to clean up the 17 mess. But they won't be as good, they don't believe, because they're getting a chance to cool down here.
I would have thought they would have been better with a heat cycle, cooling them down like that. But the tough position, Rick, is you make that call not knowing what the cars behind you are going to do. 4 or 5 cars stay out. The call's no different for the 41, but he'd have a bigger buffer to those used those brand new tires. Now, Man, they're going to be right on his rear bumper, and it has been quite a day for these playoff cars.
Well, let me tell you, the pressure has really been ramped up, and there have been playoff issues for almost everybody involved. Kevin Harvick had started with just 2 laps going until the end of stage 1. They have a tire go down.
It was the most uneventful 74 laps, and then that happened, and then the bad news continued for Stewart-Haas Racing and tire issues. A left rear tire goes down to the 14, makes heavy contact in 3 and 4.
Kurt Busch gets the penalty for passing the pace car while he was entering pit road. They were reminded of that at the driver's meeting. Do not pass the pace car as you come to pit road.
Well, you mentioned pit road. The 9 didn't pass the pace car, but he was too fast right here in the first section. Alan Gustafson's trying to stay positive, but it had to be disappointing to know how much of that track. I mean, you see right here, waving all those cars by.
So difficult for the 9 team as well as virtually everyone else. We knew coming in that the Big 3 was going to be the story. Could they advance to Miami in the Championship 4? Well, right now they're in a position where they can, but Kevin Harvick is right there on the line if he doesn't win this race.
Well, it's a points battle between Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch, who we just mentioned was out there on the old tires. But, you know, I think the other thing we maybe didn't see coming, we knew the 4 was going to be fast, but Chase Elliott and the 9 has really shown up. He has almost matched the 4's speed at times during the race today, and even though he doesn't have great track position, I think he perhaps could still make the victory lane. That changes the entire picture.
All right, Burton Jr., you guys, I'm sure you've been sweating as drivers watching all of this happen.
Yeah, it's been up and down. It's been hard to tell who's been in the situation that is a have-to-win kind of situation. Every driver sort of faced that today between Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott, and we're still really unsure. I think that was a brave call by Kurt Busch. If he truly made that call, now that he's not the control car because Erik Jones stayed out as well, what does he have to do? We've seen that inside line and that control car jump out to a really good lead into turn 1. So Kurt will have to have the restart of his life, and he knows he's up against those new tires behind him.
I think that's the key. In racing today, restarts have become so important. And so now on this racetrack where we've seen 3 wide, 4 wide, you're going to have to push the issue. You're going to have to get yourself in a position that you really don't want to be in, but a chance to win the championship's on the line. And you're going to have to do it. If you don't launch well, you're not going to be able to do those things. You're going to have to be on attack mode. If you're not attacking, they're going to be attacking you.
And take a look at the playoff leaderboard. We mentioned how Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick fighting for that last spot. Well, because Kurt Busch stayed out, where he's running on the track right now, again under a red flag condition, but where he's running, he is 1 point ahead of Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick chose to come to pit road. He has 4 fresh tires. He's evidently, he's not going to have to worry about moving forward because he's got a great car. But what is Kurt Busch thinking now with tires that are worn out up front and not a lot of help behind him to block?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to be worried about that. But one name we haven't said, and I think it's worth mentioning, he's been kind of quiet but still in position, Aric Almirola. I mean, every time I look up, we keep talking about the 41, but that 10 is just kind of there. He hasn't showed the speed yet, but these restarts have been crazy. You never know. We could see another accident, or could Aric Almirola maybe have the restart of his life, get that track position? We saw earlier, guys, how good Kyle Busch was. I didn't think new tires was going to matter that much. And watch this move right here. Kyle Busch accelerates, takes a hard left. That's basically pit exit. He's on right there. 3 wide, and it continues. He goes in 3 and 4. Doesn't even consider getting on the racetrack. He is 2.5, 3 car widths below the yellow line. And I think that's the difference. We talked about the moving of the start-finish line and how it's going to affect the restarts. But what it has done is Phoenix forever, new tires had to go down into old turn 1, very narrow. They had to kind of get in line. Now you have those new tires, Rick, and you can attack early, passing guys right away. I think that makes a big difference.
Kyle Busch has always been one of the more aggressive drivers when it comes to restarts, and we showed it where he was aggressive there. Let's see if we can chat with him. Jeff, can you dial him up on the radio?
Hey, Kyle, it's Burton in the booth. You got a moment?
Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Well, we've been watching these restarts, and we've got nervous up here. I want to know how bad it is in that race car.
It's pretty intense. Guys going all over the place, I'd say, you know. Anywhere you can kind of find a lane, I guess, you might as well use it. So, you know, this M&M's Camry seems to like the restarts.
So you're pretty good. You're in really good shape with a point. So how do you attack this restart? Everybody around you is kind of in must-win situations. They got to race each other for this battle to go to Homestead. What do you guys do?
Well, if I was fast enough to bulldoze up through everybody, then I'd try to win the race, but it's a little harder than that. So, you know, just trying to make sure that we do what we can to go after the win right now. It's all about the trophy. We're in that position, so hopefully we can get ourselves back up there a little bit. You know, that caution really hurt us a couple cautions ago.
Hey, Kyle, I want to say thank you from all the fans taking time. You know, you're right in the middle of your job, trying to make something happen. We really appreciate you taking time. Good luck, bud.
All righty, you got it. Thanks.
Parker.
Well, guys, we want to catch up here with Alan Gustin, crew chief for Chase Elliott. Decided to do 2 tires there. The last time you decided to do that, you were able to get to the lead. Was it a no-brainer?
Well, I just think it was the position we're in. We didn't have really many options. We've got to get low track position, and you know, I think that puts us in the best spot right now. So we'll see what happens. Certainly a lot of racing left to go, and we'll see how it goes at the end.
You guys have struggled a little bit on the short runs and on the restarts. Any changes you've made to help that out?
Yeah, I mean, our car's certainly not, short runs aren't our best attribute, but we've tried to work on it a little bit, and we're kind of right in between right here. So hopefully our car will take off a little better here if we can get a good restart and get up through there. I think those guys up front with no tires might be in trouble, and we'll just see if we can't get through there.
Going to come down to this restart here, Kelly.
Cole Pern calls the shots on this 78 team, and Cole, it wasn't a pretty start to the race, but right now showing 19 points above the cut line. How conservative do you want Martin to be on this restart?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to do anything fancy, obviously, at this point. We just got to have a decent finish and we'll be okay. So, yeah, we struggled a little bit early, but we keep working on it and got it better. And, you know, obviously, wish we could have scored a few more stage points, but at the end of the day, we did enough. And like I said, hopefully we can just have a clean restart here and make it to the finish.
This is one of just 2 races left for Furniture Row Racing. How important is it to you that you send Barney out at least with a shot at the championship?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's what we're here for. And obviously, you know, it's been tough with the team closing down, obviously, but we're still pushing on, and we want to do as well as we can as a group while we're still together.
Thank you, Cole. Dave?
And Kelly, Billy Scott was just told by his crew that they feel raindrops. Probably not the truth, but short of that, how confident are you now with the decision made here?
We just got to see. It's hard to tell. Just kind of felt like Kevin was in a good spot there to kind of do the opposite of what we did. So we need to stay on the aggressive side, and you know, track position is important. So we'll see how it shakes out.
You mentioned a practice run to Kurt that may have matched where he is right now. Do you feel like you saw something in practice to where these used tires might be his advantage?
Yeah, they fired off pretty well, and it was one of our better runs on the long run. So hope it's okay. I don't think this red will hurt us too bad.
Very good. And oh, by the way, Marty, it is not raining.
I know that, Dave. We're in the desert. By the way, I go back to a conversation Tony Gibson and I had on Friday when you said, for an old man on medication, this is too much pressure. You're 1 below the cut line. How you holding up?
I'm doing all right, I guess. My wife didn't send enough medicine for this, so next time, honey, send more if you don't mind. But, yeah, it's been a crazy day. You know, first time back on the box. We've had a fast Busch Light Ford all day long. The guys have done a great job. We've overcome a lot. So, yeah, we'll keep digging to the end, man. Kevin's, you know, one of the best here. So we got 2 right sides, and we figure out we got to fight. We got to run the 41. Unfortunately, we're running against a teammate. So hopefully the 9 doesn't win, and we can finish within 1 of that 41 car and go to Homestead. So we're going to dig till the checker flag falls, and hopefully we're in the mix.
Running against your old team, which I'm sure is strange for you. That was all you on that audible on the right sides only. What does Kevin need to do now, though, just to make sure that you get to Miami with a shot to win it?
Well, I think you got to keep the fenders clean from here. The restarts are going to get crazy from here on out. It's going to get wild. So you're at the mercy of guys around you, but we got the best out there. So hopefully it'll work out for us, and we'll see you in Homestead. I'll see you in Homestead no matter what, but hopefully it's for a championship.
There you go. They're all going to Miami no matter what, but they want to win a title. And he turned around and joked to Tony Stewart, who's right behind him, guys, said, man, I'm not kidding about the medicine thing. I need a lot more if you're really going to want me to do this next week.
Well, his health issues came into play this year. He was in the hospital for quite some time, and it's great to see him out here. It's great to see him joking around, but the irony is he won the Daytona 500 with Kurt Busch, and now he is crew chiefing for Kevin Harvick, who needs to beat Kurt Busch.
When you couldn't find a more experienced guy to put in that position. Over 400 races on top of the box, 6 wins, been in the sport, won a championship all the way back with Alan Kowicki, a mentor of mine, spent a lot of races with Jeff Gordon as the car chief. I mean, he knows NASCAR, but I'll tell you, Rick, when people say, hey, do you miss your old job? There's nothing like making that game time decision, and I've never had to do it under this type of playoff pressure. What Tony Gibson has had to do as a fill-in crew chief is remarkable, and he's done a heck of a job. That Ford still has a position to go race for a championship in Miami.
As you see, the yellow flag has been displayed, cars rolling around the racetrack once again. Under 45 laps to go. Kurt Busch, who didn't come to pit road, will restart second. Kevin Harvick came to pit road. They did a 2-tire stop. He and Chase Elliott on the same strategy came at 265, and now they run 6th and 7th.
So look how they're lining up. Look what you've got going on. So on the front row, Denny Hamlin, those 3 guys, they have older tires. Those guys are in a little bit bad situation with tires, but they can set the pace. Then behind them, you have the first guy on tires, Kyle Larson on the outside. Behind him, Harvick. There is the 2 car. He's on tires. Chase Elliott, he's on tires on the inside. Which lane is going to work?
We've seen Kurt Busch start on the outside and take the lead earlier in this race. So we know he can do it, but he's going to have a great restart. He's going to have to get the power down, not allow that 20 car to clear him into turn 1. Here we go.
How much will the tires matter? Coming back through the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 44 laps to go to determine the championship 4.
Pretty good restart for Kurt, but I don't know if he cut the corner enough, but he's still on the outside of that 20. The 20 gets loose.
20 loose. Here comes the 18. Kyle Busch. What a restart.
Into the side of the 41. The 41 in the fence.
Now they're sideways. The 11 goes down. The 9 gets caught. The 41 involved. Championship contenders involved here. Look at the damage to the 41 of Kurt Busch. The 9, a lot of damage to the right side for Chase Elliott. Those 2 coming into this race were 5th and 6th in the points.
Quarter right front fender up to the door off.
Denny Hamlin looking for a win in 2018. It's not going to happen here.
This all started with that aggressive restart. We saw them banging on each other in the middle of 1 and 2. Just continued on all the way on the exit of turn 2.
Well, Erik Jones got loose on the inside of the 41 of Kurt Busch, and that drove them both up the racetrack. The 11 of Denny Hamlin was on the bottom and believed maybe that he had cleared all this.
And Kyle Busch said, I don't know if I'm fast enough, and he just drove up there, and, like he was.
So look at Denny Hamlin, he's on the inside. Erik Jones in the middle, Kurt Busch down into the corner. Jones gets loose, takes the 41 up the track. Here comes Denny Hamlin. He thinks he's probably clear of all these guys.
Contact.
Comes up off the corner and gets into the 41, and that's when it all begins.
Yeah, they just got together, never could get apart, and then the 9 car, minding his own business, right side, tore off his car. Just like that once your cars, it's hard to explain, but in the car, once the contact starts right here, the 11 up the track.
Oh, Denny was a little loose. You see him check the back of the car a little bit.
Into the 41 in the wall. That shoots him back to the 11. And now it's just on. You saw the 41 in the wall again. Then watch the 41. He now turns left, not intentionally. Didn't mean to do that. And there's the 9 car. 9 cars championship hopes go away right there, as well as the 41.
And again, both drivers were below the cutoff line entering this race, but both had fought at different times during this race and were in the top 4 in points. Both had been up front and led laps, and now both the championship hopes and that journey will end at this race.
You can see right there, Denny's turned to the right, chasing the back of the car up the racetrack into the 41.
I want to know what the 78 Martin Truex Jr. is thinking right about here.
Yeah, watch how hard he has to hit the brakes to avoid all this.
We were just talking about that off air a little bit. Like, what do you do as a crew chief? Like, I'm not Martin Truex Jr. I'm like, oh, I got to stop. Maybe it's time to get away from all this. You're good in points.
But one of the big things for Martin Truex Jr. as well as the other competitors, now that is 3 cars that were below the cutoff line that are out of contention in this race.
So we just talked to Kyle Busch. He acted like he wasn't fast enough. Look at him on the bottom. 3 wide, way off the racetrack. Looks fast to me right here. Taking advantage of those new tires. He and Erik Jones, tight battle. Erik pulls back ahead of him before the caution comes out. Kyle Busch just told us. He said, I'm not fast enough to drive up through here. Well, he must have changed his mind because he drove in here like he was. Look what he does, Junior. He don't even try to be on the racetrack. Turns left, way on the apron.
3 bottom, so 3. Down, 4, 3.
When Denny's car come up off the apron, you could see it take off. The back of the car took off.
Wrecking behind you.
Big wreck behind you.
Martin Truex Jr. with a championship on the line, not wanting to see this. Look at the sun.
Stay low, stay low.
It's always bad here.
Stop, just stop again. Come down. Stop. You're not going to get hit from back. Come on.
That's the problem. Yeah, it's easy to say stop, but the ones behind you might not be stopping. You saw it wheel hopping. The car was wheel hopping. He was trying to get it slowed down. That's some intense moments for a driver.
The 41, the 9, extensive damage on both playoff contenders' cars.
Pool of water.
With just 38 laps to go, and we just talked to him on the radio, the 18 of Kyle Busch will advance to the championship 4. He has enough points. He's guaranteed to be a part of the top 4 and will race for another championship.
And Martin Truex got very fortunate to miss that accident. He has a pretty good chunk of points. And this right here is kind of the last man standing of concern for Kevin Harvick. The 10 of Erik Jones is in a must-win situation. But, man, he can see the front from where he is. These restarts have been crazy. Can he pull off the upset, win this race?
Erik Jones on the outside. Kyle Busch on the inside. Kevin Harvick in the 4. On the inside of that second row, and now they fan out again.
I'm so surprised Jones chose the outside.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I think he thinks on those old tires, you know, his car's not going to turn good enough, so maybe just a higher radius.
He's still on the outside of that 18. I thought the 18 would clear him easily there.
Yeah, just not turning the car as much with those old tires. I think that's what his belief is. And again, right on the corner exit, that drive with the rear tires.
There he is. Pretty good run there. Might clear him down here into turn 1.
Now he's going to have to go to the bottom. Now he's going to have to block.
This is so impressive on the old tires, but look at the 18. Kyle Busch to the outside. He's going to make him have to lift on the corner exit here because the 20 can't open the throttle. Look, see? Can't open the throttle, can't get the power down.
Didn't this guy just tell us he wasn't good enough to win just like 10 minutes ago?
Well, he didn't show all of his cards. Kyle Busch out front, Erik Jones running second. Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, all a part of the top 5.
Okay, now how does Kevin Harvick race? Kevin Harvick's in a really good spot right now in points. How much does he block? How aggressive does he get?
Kevin Harvick's biggest concern right now is the 10 of Erik Almirola. You see the points, 26 points in front right now of the 41 of Kurt Busch. The damaged vehicle policy and the clock that some of the drivers were on, the 41's time has expired. They are no longer a part of this race.
Hey, Rick, if I'm Tony Gibson on top of the box for Kevin Harvick, I'm asking him to go ahead and put his mittens on here. I want you to run nice, safe. We don't need to gain anything. We are not racing anyone. The 78's kind of in the same situation. He's a great guy to hang out with, Marty. Let's just make sure we take this thing for the last 34 laps all the way to the finish.
Believe me, they've told Kevin Harvick that. He knows right now that he's plus 26, but guess who's right behind him? They've also told him cannot let that 10 car win no matter what. Erik Almirola's teammate right behind Kevin Harvick right now in 6th.
I think that's a difficult part. You see right here, Kevin Harvick making a move on Truex. He has to know Truex not going to put up a fight. Truex is going to just roll in behind him smartly. The thing that does is it takes away the 10 car being able to get that great restart. If you're in front of the 10 car, that's the only thing you have to fear right now is the 10 car winning.
The only thing that is helping Erik right now is this 20 car of Erik Jones. As he holds these guys up, you got to hope if you're Erik Almirola that you want Erik Jones to hold him up long enough. Look here, giving him an opportunity to get by the 78.
Well, remember, that 10 car's on 4 tires,
and that's
guys.
That's fifth spot right there,
yeah.
So that's row 3
oh, you got
on
a
the
little
restart.
loose there. 78 back to the inside. Be surprised if he races him real hard down here. As the 20 and the 42 of Larson are side by side. Looks like Larson's going to take that position.
This is all about what row you could restart in. So right now in 5th, that's row 3. So he's got one more spot. See, Jones in trouble. If he can get by Jones, now he's restarting in row 2. From row 2, you can make something happen.
Oh, we saw the winner in the truck race on Friday night come from row 2. So we know you can win from there.
2.5 seconds separate Kyle Busch and Erik Almirola. Almirola in the 5th position, still behind the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
Erik Jones just can't put up a whole lot of fight with those old tires.
And Junior, you mentioned it. The morals are going to be tested. Can Erik Almirola get close enough? You can't do it from here, but a caution. Or perhaps just these last 30 laps with those fresher tires.
There's
There's one.
Look how aggressive he is.
Oh, yeah.
He was getting into the back of that 20 if he didn't move.
So this is why I think the 4 car has to race aggressively right here in front of Erik Almirola.
You think you can risk it?
Yes, because you're going to let him start 3rd on the inside lane on a restart. You can't do it. You got to keep him behind you. If Erik Almirola starting 3rd on a restart, he's going to do something crazy. He has no choice.
Well, Kevin Harvick's best defense against Erik Almirola winning the race is Kevin Harvick winning the race. So Kevin Harvick right now running in the 3rd position, has Kyle Larson in front of him, and then in front of both of them, Kyle Busch leading this race.
So I'm a kind of conspiracy theorist, right? If I got the 10 to 2nd and I'm Kyle Busch, I think the 10 would win. Because I wouldn't want to see Kevin Harvick in a championship race in Miami, right? You do everything you can do to help yourself out. Kyle Busch does not want to race that guy in that 4 car. He does not. He just beat them at Texas. He doesn't want to see it. He would much rather have Erik Almirola. Unfortunately for the 18 car, the 10 has a few more cars to pass, but if he could get to his bumper, I'm not sure the 18 would fight him tooth and nail.
Just one more reason you can't give him that 3rd spot and put him on the inside.
Well, again, the gap between Kevin Harvick and Erik Almirola right now, 5 to 6 car lengths. So Harvick is still, he's not racing with mittens on right now. Harvick's still digging.
Oh, we got a car spinning.
Turn around goes to 88 of Bowman on fire. Caution will come out again.
Here's that yellow you were looking for, guys, to give Erik Almirola the chance that he needs to be aggressive.
See how quickly Bowman's going to climb out of that car.
Looks like another issue like we've seen all day.
He came off of turn 4 and he had some smoke, went all the way down the front straightaway, caught fire going into turn 1 and 2, then spun out.
And Dale, actually, he came across the radio and said he was running really hot from that nose damage, so maybe the engine expired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That looks like a major engine issue. I'm sure the oil dumps underneath the car, no grip in the rear tires.
Yeah, you could see the fluid pouring out.
Big concern when that spins
sideways
around, it kind of forces the flames up inside the car. Scary situation.
Very hot in there, I promise you.
And another major cleanup coming for NASCAR. They got a lot of oil to clean up. Whose tires are going to be better when you sit and wait? These long cautions really change your car.
And this happened in the groove.
Yes.
So just to let you guys know, Harvick and Almirola, if neither one of them come to pit road, we'll start side by side on the restart.
Third and fourth.
They're not coming to pit road, are they, Steve?
This cleanup's gonna put a ton of speedy dry down there in turn 1 and 2, where these guys are all gonna be 3, 4 wide going into that corner.
So Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, right now running 1 and 2. Harvick and Almirola are 3 and 4. And again, Harvick's biggest competition to be a part of the championship 4 is Aric Almirola if he wins the race.
And Kyle Busch he will control this restart. Harvick has to start in second, in the inside of the second row in the third position. So what does Kyle Busch do? Does he pick the opposite? What does he do here?
If you look at where they put the speedy dry and where that car lay down all that oil, it's right on the bottom of the racetrack and not on the apron. So I would think you'd want to be on the inside lane, whether you're controlling the restart or starting third, to be able to go below where this cleanup's going to be. It's going to be difficult for those guys in the outside lane starting second and fourth, because they're probably going to have to run through this speedy dry and this oil. I think being in fourth kind of neutralizes the 10 car a little bit. As you said, Burton, he doesn't have that opportunity to dive down and cut that apron as aggressively as the inside line. Another red flag coming up.
And these red flags scare me, Junior. We've sat in these race cars long enough to know that some cars fire off better after a red flag than others. The air pressure comes out, they start bleeding air pressure out of the tires cool down, and some cars after red, they just won't go. They will not fire off.
Well, we mentioned playoff pressures. They continue to mount for the 4 team of Kevin Harvick, the 10 of Aric Almirola, the 2 right now that have a shot at making the championship 4. Almirola, a must-win situation as the flames roll from underneath Bowman's car.
Still under red flag here in Phoenix. We're going to have an opportunity to talk to the man who's going to be in position to go win this race. Check in with Aric Almirola. Eric, Jeff Burton, you with us?
Yep, I got you.
Going to restart fourth here, Bud. What you got on your mind?
Winning.
How you going to do that, man? This restart's been crazy. What's your plan here?
I can't tell you my plan. Everybody else will know.
Well, good luck. We're going to be watching. I was wondering if you'd say it, but we got you, man. Have fun. We'll be watching. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, bud.
Erik was focused inside the race car. That got a chuckle from Johnny Klossmeyer's crew chief who was listening in. So how are your nerves on top of the pit box, and what's the thought here with a couple laps to go?
I mean, I'm calm here. You know, Erik's keeping his cards close to his chest as he should right now, but we're in a good position. You know, everyone on the Smithfield team has done a good job of keeping us all in position and putting us right here to be able to restart on the outside. And we have 4 tires, just like the leader does, and the other guys have 2 tires. So I feel like we're in an advantage there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, everyone's done a great job just to be in this position.
Erik seems very focused, but I want to know how aggressive you're fine with him being. Is it okay to maybe move a teammate to make it to Miami with a shot to win the title?
I will let him make the decision there, put that in his court. But as long as he's in position to make that decision, that's all we can ask for.
There you go. It could come down to Harvick versus Almirola for that final slot in Miami, Dave.
Marty, outside the infield care center, Kurt has been released. You okay?
Yeah, everything's good.
All right. So walk us through that final restart and the crazy day that it was, Kurt.
I just got pinned on the outside wall. Needed to hold position on whoever was going to be to my inside. I expected Jones to be down there, but Denny came out of nowhere and cleaned us out. That was my spot to try to hold. You know, I knew there was going to be more yellows now. I felt like staying out was the right call. That's what helped us put ourselves in that position. And so I'm not going to look back on anything. You know, even the pit road penalty, if it's black and white, I just need to get updated on my rule book and understand that what I did doesn't gain me anything. But if it's a rule, if it's black and white, then so be it. But we charged back up through there. You know, it's great to have Stewart right there to help me out, you know, like a coach who's been through it before. And he coached me back in, too, to get back in the groove, and we were coming. We were there. It was one of the best cars I've ever had at Phoenix, and I feel like I let my guys down, but I'm not going to second-guess anything. Racing for the win, trying to advance, and didn't get the job done. So thanks to Gene Haas, Haas Automation, Monster Energy. We'll go to Homestead and race for fun.
I was going to ask you, is this one harder to swallow because it was such a great race car today?
It's being all year long in the position for it, and my job was to win today, or at least try to gain 3 points on Harvick. I didn't get the job done.
All right, Kurt's out of the infield care center, guys. Season, as far as the championship goes, is over.
Well, and we mentioned not too long ago the playoff issues that have taken place. It started very early in stage 1. At the end of stage 1, Harvick, a tire going down. He has to come to pit road, and he's already a lap down.
Yeah, and then another flat tire. The 14 of Clint Boyer has a flat left rear tire as he goes down into turn 3, spins around. And you just heard Kurt Busch mention the penalty coming to pit road. This is what he was talking about. Gets in front of the pace car. That's a penalty. It's a 1-lap penalty, but he did a nice job to recover.
Chase was speeding when he came onto pit road, and such a good car and in a great position to win. He has to go to the rear for the restart.
And then the crash we just talked to Kurt Busch about. The 11 comes up, they make contact. Big crash takes out the 11, the 41, and catches Chase Elliott. Now I'm going to say, you know, Kurt Busch has had a long career in NASCAR. I don't know how anyone could have handled the interview any better right there. You can see the disappointment. You know, he can't go back and redo it, but I thought he's given this 41 car quite a run in the playoffs. And we talked at the top of the show, we talked a lot about the 4. I didn't have the 41 being that fast today. I was wrong. That 41 was a great race car.
And post-race coverage, as well as victory lap, that will all be on NBCSN. So make sure to join us after the race on NBCSN as we're winding down to 23 laps, Dave.
Kyle Larson will come on to pit road for what he thinks is a loose wheel. So not everyone pitting here, but he thought he had a loose wheel on the 42. They're just going to make sure laps winding down here. Hated to give up that track position, though.
Well, huge track position because Larson would have started on the front row. Now that'll put Kevin Harvick on the front row.
More importantly, Jeff, who's it putting inside row 2?
Erik Almirola on the inside. We keep talking about it, Junior. He's going to, watch what he does here. It's going to be big. He's got to change his strategy, though. In his brain, he had worked up a plan starting from the outside. Now he's got to switch gears and come up with a plan starting on the inside.
I think it definitely makes it a little bit easier for him. Let's go to the 4 radio and hear what he has to say.
The 10's the first one on 4. Before there, you know, we just need to be careful. He cannot win. If he wins, that ruins our day. So just nice and smooth. Plan on staying out here.
So if the 10 lines up in 4th place, his options are limited going down into turn 1. Now that he's on the inside line, obviously depends on who the control car is and where he lines up. Obviously the 18 can pick the outside or the inside, but the car being in 3rd place, we saw it in the truck race Friday. third place truck won the race on a restart, on a late race restart. So the 10 of Erik Almirola has to say, all right, I'm going to send it down into turn 1 and I'm going in there to win this race. Because after turn 1, once they're clear off of turn 2, it's over. If he's not up there trying to battle for the lead, it's over.
Let's think about something else. Austin Dillon hasn't had a great year since the Daytona 500 win. Things haven't gone well. He's restarting 5th. William Byron looking for his first win, restarting 6th. These guys that aren't in the playoffs, they're going to have a role in who can make it to the playoffs. Marty.
And if it's a factor or not, they keep reminding Erik Almirola on the last stop, we took 4, Harvick took 2. Just remember that. So whether it's true or not, Steve, and it actually helps him or not, Erik Almirola going into this restart with a little bit of confidence, with a little bit of fresher left side tires.
Hey, listen, Kyle Larson just pitted. I thought he was going to come out like 12th or something. Came out 8th. He's sitting there on 4 tires in 8th position with 22 to go. He's going to be a role in this race as well.
Yeah, 25 lap fresher tires than everybody in front of him.
I'm not sure Martin Truex Jr., as we see the pace car stayed out, we're going to run one more lap under yellow. Martin Truex Jr., I'm thinking we might finally see a car not go on the flat on the dog leg. Martin Truex Jr. might just run the curve, and you guys go figure it out down in turn 1. I want no part of this.
If Jeff Burton was driving, it'd be running about 30th right now. You know what I mean? I would get away from all this.
Well, and the 2 in the front row know exactly the situation behind them. Kyle Busch knows that if the 10 wins this race, that moves the 4 out. Kevin Harvick knows if the 10 wins this race, he is out. Those 2 are going to be defending or potentially trying to manipulate how they go into turn number 1.
And remember, down into turn 1, this is where all that speedy dry is from the caution, from the Bowman car that had all that engine trouble down in turn 1 and 2. There's that speedy dry down there, and it's not going to have the grip. The corner's not going to have the grip. You're going to have to either go above or below that.
And we've seen that outside groove work. We've seen it work. And here he is, Kevin Harvick's on the outside of Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick, one thing I've noticed, has not had great launches all day long. He's left and hadn't had great launches. Good restarts through the corners, but he's going to have to launch and try to enter turn 1 side by side with Kyle Busch.
What path will Kyle Busch take after he gets past the start-finish line? He's the control car. He dictates the restart. As they're coming up to the restart zone, Kyle Busch on the inside, Harvick on the outside.
It's a pretty good start for the 10 of Almirola. What does he do here?
Dives all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Following in the tire tracks of the 18. He's ahead of the 4 now.
He's got to get to that 18 and get underneath him.
Erik Almirola fighting for a championship chance.
2 to Harvick. Stay with it here. You're better than that 18.
Erik Almirola, left side tires on that apron. That's normally not good in 1 and 2. I'm sorry, 3 and 4.
Almirola has to win this race if he wants to make it into the championship 4 next week in Miami. But here comes Harvick. Harvick to the inside. He's going to try to get by Almirola.
Almirola got loose in the speedy dry there. That's going to cost him. It's going to be hard to hold his position.
Now he's on the outside line. Here comes Harvick through 3 and 4, trying to take second away.
Harvick
can't make the pass.
Yeah, Harvick can't get the power down on throttle. Can't get on throttle there, and that cost him. Now Erik Almirola just needs to calm down. Just try to put together some corners to see if he has the speed to close in on the 18.
Just right there in the middle of the corner. Not as good as the 18, but still good launches on corner exit. The 4 car. Gonna put pressure on right here. Oh!
Into the wall, the 97, Tanner Berryhill. And the caution will come out again. Another restart. Under 18 laps to go.
Now that puts Almirola on the front row with Kyle Busch.
Interesting. We've not seen anyone restart on the front row when they're not the control car and do very well. We just saw it just now with Harvick. Pretty much anyone who's restarted on that outside line.
One thing I've seen with Harvick, he hasn't been real aggressive. Excuse me, hasn't been real aggressive on these restarts. He's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to have to drive down on the apron. He's going to have to drive into turn 1 on the bottom. He's been playing it very cautious. I don't think he can do that anymore. You know Erik Almirola is going to be pushing the buttons. That's what Harvick's going to have to do. He's going to have to change plans a little bit and get exceptionally aggressive.
Hey, let's not lose sight of the 4 fresh tires of Brad Keselowski, who now is in 4th. He has moved up and he will now be restarting in the 4th position with those 4 fresh tires. We mentioned that Larson started 8th. Well, Keselowski also restarted back there behind Larson and has made his way up to 4th.
Listen, Dale Jr. said it, I said it. Morals are going to be tested. There's new rules to racing in the playoffs. We just saw this. At the half mile at Martinsville, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., a door-to-door battle, but this was the last corner on the last lap. The 22, there was no way he was going to pass him clean. He sends him up the racetrack and moves the 78. He told us the week before he would move somebody for the win, and he went through with it and moved the 78. People can agree with it, dislike it, like it, doesn't matter. The simple fact is the 22 was on to Miami. Now here sits Aric Almirola. Does he have to pass Kyle Busch, or is he willing, if the opportunity presents itself, Dale, does he put the bumper to the 18 if he has the chance?
Well, I think his best opportunity is to try to stay on the door of that 18 car on this restart, not allow the 18 car to clear him. If the 18 dives across the apron, go down there with him. Try to stay on his door and enter on his door on the outside, on the entrance to turn 1.
Dale Jr., think about Aric Almirola. Remember earlier this year at New Hampshire in July, he had the dominant car there and did not get a good restart with the 26 laps left in that race. Really beat himself up for that and told me after that, I've got to learn how to run up front. It's a different world restarting when you're running for race wins, a position he has not been in his career. He was in this same exact car in that New Hampshire race. This could be the restart of his life that could put him in the championship 4.
It's not ideal where he's going to start, but it is doable. We've seen it before with Kurt Busch today. To make that outside work, you just cannot allow the inside line to clear you, and even on the launch is the key part. If the 18 launches and clears, that's what the 10's got to stop from happening.
The 10 has to worry about, first of all, getting the lead, trying to steal the lead away from Kyle Busch, but then he's going to have to defend it.
Well, yeah.
And the one with the freshest tires behind him is Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Dale Jarrett he's watching this closely. He just contacted me. He says, hey, if I'm Aric Almirola, I might jump this restart just a little bit. Make NASCAR make that call. That's a great point. You know what I mean? It's hard for NASCAR to really make a call on who launches first, and that's something that Aric Almirola is going to have to figure out. Can he launch just a little bit ahead of Kyle Busch and try to get some forward momentum going?
But Jeff, does he want to put his fate in the hands of someone making a decision, or does he want to go out there and race and try to win this race and win that spot in the championship?
Well, he's not going to do something that's clearly a penalty. But when you leave a quarter of a second before somebody, that's hard to tell. Kelly.
You see there Martin Truex Jr. on pit road on that last restart. He's just said he was sideways, he was so loose. They said, well, let's get you some fresh tires, presumably with an air pressure adjustment. He's just trying to stay out of all this chaos. The team has told him he needs to finish 24th or better. Right now we're showing 16 cars on the lead lap.
Rick, I don't think we're overselling it. It was going to be so chaotic that Martin Truex Jr. threw the white flag up. I'm out. I'm going to
back out of this.
I'm going to take the Jeff Burton strategy. I'm going to go to the back.
Back out of all of the chaos. He knows all he needs to do is finish on the lead lap. Right now, as Kelly just mentioned, only 16 cars are on the lead lap, and the laps continue to wind down. Only 14 to go. When they come back around, it'll be 13 to go. So we know that it will be at least 12 laps of racing. Once the lights go off of the pace car and they go 2 by 2, getting ready for the restart. Could it be the final restart, or will there be another caution? It's another question that all of the crew chiefs, drivers are got in the back of their minds. Will this be the final sprint to the finish? Aric Almirola.
The 4's out. The 4's got a 30-point cushion right now. If we don't win.
Right there. That was the 10 communication.
18 knows if we win that he ain't got to race Harvick.
Oh, there you go.
18 knows.
Would the 18 give up a win today to not have to battle Harvick for the championship next week?
I've seen Kyle Busch finish a race in second and feel so disgusted that he finished second. I don't think there's any chance that Kyle Busch doesn't go out there and try to race as hard as he can for the win.
Don't count Keselowski out.
And don't count
He's
Keselowski
got 20 lap fresher tires sitting there in 4th.
And by the way, Keselowski and Kyle Busch, those two don't get along.
They're not great friends, Rick?
No.
Kyle Larson in 6th on fresh tires as well.
Kyle Busch on the inside, Aric Almirola on the outside. It will be a 12-lap shootout. Almirola has to win the race. if he wants to advance in the championship picture and get to Miami in the championship 4.
I'm nervous. I feel like I'm in one of these cars getting ready to restart this race. All right, here it goes. It's a good launch for the 18.
Back up through the gears. Here comes the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Now a shove by the 2. Gets into the back of the 10. Moving him up the racetrack. Almirola.
Oh,
way up the racetrack. Way too high. Here comes the 4 of Harvick for second. And look at that 2 of Keselowski also fighting in there for second as they go into 3. Keselowski side by side for second with Almirola. Fresher tires on the 2.
If the 2 gets by Almirola, that completely changes what Harvick has to do. That's what he's wanting right now. He wants this pass to happen.
Keselowski now falling back in behind the 10 of Erik Almirola.
Harvick under attack from Larson. Harvick's going to lose that spot.
Larson fresher tires as well.
The 2 car just too strong with these fresher tires for Erik Almirola. If he gets in front of Erik, he'll drive away.
I'm thinking right now Erik Almirola's strategy might be to let the 2 go get the 18.
Yes.
I don't think the 10 can run the 18 down. Maybe the 2 can. And we know those 2 have history. Maybe it'll fall the 10 car's way.
Just stay as close as you can to the 2. Let him do maybe a little blocking or moving out of the way and be the beneficiary of that. 9 laps to go in Phoenix. Almirola running 3rd. Here comes Kyle Larson in the 42. Kyle Busch has a 1.1 second lead over Brad Keselowski. Is there enough time for Brad Keselowski to reel him in?
9 laps to go, 1/10 of a second a lap. Be right there.
Now 8 laps.
It was a 1/10 and a half that lap.
Those 4 tires, 4 fresher tires, were a little over a 1/10 of a second better than race leader Kyle Busch. Brad Keselowski trying to put together 7.5 perfect laps at ISM Raceway.
I think he's going to get to the 18. I'm not sure if he'll be able to pass him, but the last lap a 1/10 and a half, this time by another 1/10 and a half. I believe he's going to get to the bumper of the 18 for sure.
Now Almirola doesn't want to get passed by Larson. Almirola is running 3rd. Larson is right behind him. And if he takes that spot away, then that takes Almirola out of position if something happens between the top 2.
That's a great point, Rick. A great point. Keselowski, if he does get there, he's going to be aggressive. Out of the playoffs, nothing to lose.
And the 10 missed the bottom that time at 3 and 4. It seems like Erik is just, trying. Maybe just a touch too hard.
Here comes the 42. Closing in on the back bumper of Erik Almirola. The gap not closing as much between the top 2, the 18 and the 2. Kyle Busch putting together some very good laps. And Kyle Busch wanting that momentum. He's already in the championship 4. A win going into the final race of the season just uplifts the spirits of the entire team, knowing that they could potentially win a title.
A 1/10 of a second faster for the 2 car that lap.
The gap's a 1/2 a second between the top 2. Erik Almirola now running in 4th.
So funny, I talked to Kyle Busch this morning. Because Keselowski missed it. That might do it. That may do it.
4 laps to go. Kyle Busch with a 6/10 of a second lead over the race leader.
Kyle Busch this morning
chasing him.
Told me, he said, I quit guessing. I don't know. I don't know what my car is. I don't think we're very good. Here he is with a chance to win.
And the big 3, when the season started and went through the regular season, dominating the wins between Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. Now, those 3 look as though they will join the 22 of Joey Logano in Miami and run for a championship. Under 3 laps to go.
Behind all this, great runs for Jamie Murray in 6th, Matt Kenseth in 7th, Austin Dillon 8th, Bubba Wallace in 9th place.
Yeah, William Byron in 10th, Newman, Allmendinger, Hamlin, Truex Jr., and Jimmy Johnson all on the lead lap. Kyle Busch hitting his marks every single lap. The gap has not closed between Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Into 3 and 4. Kyle Busch coming out. We'll see the white flag. One lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. Kyle Busch looking for his 8th win of 2018. One of the best in NASCAR, looking for another shot at the championship. Kyle Busch through 3 and 4 for the final time. Kyle Busch is going to win in the desert.
Woo, yeah. Awesome job, team.
With a 5th place finish, Kevin Harvick secures a spot in the championship 4. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, the 4 that will fight for the title in Miami. That's the championship 4.
Great job, driver. Way to hang in there, buddy. Take a little momentum with us down the home stick.
There's the momentum. This moment right here, presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long. Kyle Busch, he can divide fans. You either love him or hate him. But there is no question he is one of the most talented drivers NASCAR has seen. The trademark bow to the fans coming up here as he climbs out of that car right on the start-finish line. And let's go to Rutledge.
Rick, there are huge cheers, lots of excitement from Kyle Busch as he climbs out of the race car, going to grab that flag. He was locked in on points there during the race, but he raced his way in. Kyle, this is huge. You got the momentum. You got the chance to go to oh, get out of the way for the bow, you guys. Well done. You told me don't mess up the bow. You were right. You were right. You did it. Congratulations. Can you lock this up next weekend?
I'd certainly like to think so. You know, we had a rough start to the early part of this weekend, but it's cool to put it where we need to right here, right now, and in the victory lane with this M&M's Camry. Can't say enough about the crowd. Everybody out here on the West Coast, Phoenix, you guys are awesome. And man, what a day, what a race. Brad was fast there at the end. I was trying to hit all my marks exactly right, and he was a tick quicker than us, but we got what we needed out of today.
Congratulations. We'll see you in victory lane.
Heck yeah!
Kyle Busch, everybody.
51 career wins for Kyle Busch. That's 11th all-time in the Monster Energy Cup Series, looking to break into the top 10 here very soon.
Kyle Busch pulls into victory lane. Kevin Harvick sharing a moment with Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, who just walk off. And Kevin, it'll show a 5th place finish, but how would you sum up this day that was so up and down for the 14?
Yeah, you know, we were in big trouble there when we had the flat tire, and then, you know, the caution came out and we were able to get some stage points and wound up with some decent track position. But car never drove quite as good after it drug the ground all the way around the racetrack, and we kept working on it and kept ourselves in position. And then there at the end, after everybody crashed, it's like, okay, just let it play out here and see where it all falls. But just got to thank everybody from Busch Light, Jimmy John's, Mobile One Ford, Outback, Hunt Brothers, Morton Buildings, Textron Off-Road, and Liftmaster, and everybody at Stewart Haas Racing and Haas Automation for all they do for these teams.
In 7 days, Kevin Harvick gets to race for a championship, Rick.
Yeah, Marty, it's Kyle Busch getting the win, and the championship 4 are now decided. Thanks for watching our coverage today on NBC. For more NASCAR post-race coverage, it'll be on NBCSN. Make sure to join us over there next. Coming up next on NBC, your local news except on the West Coast. And later, it's Football Night in America, followed by Cowboys, Eagles. And thanks for joining us over here on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.